Chapter 106. Whooshed up, the saber slashed across the sky and blood splattered everywhere. It was so dazzling that everyone could not open their eyes. Roar! A dragon-shaped phantom shot out from the devil dragon saber. It roared in the sky and rolled toward the wild bear. The wild bear was terrified. Even if the dragon was just a phantom, its aura was not something a fourth-grade beast like it could contend against. The long dragon pressed down on its head, causing its body to kneel on the ground. Boom! Dust and sand flew into the air. The area within a radius of several hundred feet was filled with smoke, making it difficult for everyone to open their eyes. Yi Qinghan's right arm was like a dragon emerging from its valley. He gripped the devil dragon saber tightly and slashed down fiercely. Slash! The devil dragon saber slashed through the air like a bolt of lightning, illuminating the world. Roar! The wild bear tilted its head and dodged the fatal blow. However, the devil dragon saber struck its shoulder. It roared at the sky and waved its forelimbs wildly toward Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan pulled out his saber and was about to dodge when he realized that the devil dragon saber was stuck. He gave up on the devil dragon saber and clenched his right fist. He swung it toward the wild bear's forelimbs. Boom! Everyone was stunned by the sight of a human clashing head-on with the wild bear. The shockwave caused Emperor Ye's hair to dance wildly, and his body to tilt backward. Yi Qinghan's azure dragon arm was torn open by the impact. His entire body was drenched in blood. Zung! Yi Qinghan's body flew backward, his footsteps crushing the ground. However, the moment he flew backward, he reached out and grabbed the devil dragon saber's handle. The devil dragon saber was pulled out smoothly. The wild bear screamed miserably as the pain pierced through its bones. Yi Qinghan's body moved backward, allowing Emperor Yi to sit upright. It was a close call, but Emperor Yi did not panic at all. She trusted Yi Qinghan even more than she trusted herself. Yi Qinghan slid across the ground, creating a terrifying gully. Huge flames erupted from the friction between the ground and his body, but Emperor Yi was not tainted in the slightest. After retreating dozens of meters, Yi Qinghan stabbed his saber into the ground and stopped his retreat. He twisted his body and advanced instead of retreating. Boomerang blade. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan's figure spun in midair as fast as lightning, forming a giant whirlpool. The demon dragon's saber radiated radiance in all directions. The final slash tore through the void and rushed towards the river of stars. The real edge of the saber slashed through the head of the violent bear, causing blood to splatter in all directions. Violent Bear had just stood up when he was stunned on the spot. His eyes were filled with fear and despair. The sky was completely silent. Everyone was looking at Wild Bear and Yi Qinghan. Both man and beast were motionless. They were more than 10 meters away from each other. It was a very strange sight. Violent Bear was dead. His head was cleaved open by Yi Qinghan. His true essence was vast and mighty, instantly crushing the vitality in his body. It didn't even have time to let out a final roar before its body stiffened in place, its head still hanging from its neck. Screech! Unable to sense Violent Bear's aura, the god-slaying eagle roared, wanting to get a response from Violent Bear. However, with a rush of energy, Violent Bear's head fell to the ground. Its body collapsed with a loud bang, causing the demonic beasts and humans to lose their voices. 6 stars of the Bitter Sea Realm. Was he really only 6 stars of the Bitter Sea Realm? Killing 2 Fate Palace Realm beasts in a row. How could this be called the Bitter Sea Realm? Even if he was fighting someone of a higher realm, this was not the way to do it. However, many people had overestimated Yi Qinghan. After all, there was still a difference between a Fate Palace Realm human and a rank 4 demonic beast that couldn't fly. Yi Qinghan could kill the rhinoceros monster and Violent Bear because his strength was too terrifying, especially the Azure Dragon arm. It was simply a meat grinder for Fate Palace Realm demonic beasts. Fate Palace Realm beasts that couldn't fly would die if they encountered him. However, once they could fly, they could drag Yi Qinghan to death. Yi Qinghan's right arm was bleeding profusely. The pale golden bones of his arm were clearly visible. He was like a son of God, but he was obviously different from a human. Holding the saber, he slowly retreated. His arm was shining, and the wound was quickly healed. Waste blood flew out of his body and essence blood filled with rich spiritual energy gushed out. It was extraordinarily terrifying. "Parrot, come and protect me." Yi Qinghan looked down on all living beings and didn't trust anyone. This was the best time to counterattack, but he gave up. He would only help if he had the ability. At this moment, the Azure Dragon arm was severely injured. If he continued to fight, even if he defeated the beast tide, he would be in danger. The parrot obediently squatted on Yi Qinghan's shoulder and looked around vigilantly. Emperor Yi was also holding his guqin. Whoever dared to come close would be killed without mercy. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and summoned a large number of mid-grade spiritual crystals. He forcefully absorbed the energy, and the spiritual crystals quickly turned into powder. The crowd was stunned. Is he really an ordinary person, whose sea of qi and body can withstand the power of mid-grade spiritual crystals? Xianyuan Yu's eyes were filled with astonishment. He moved his mouth and stopped talking. The saber in Yi Lingyu's hand kept vibrating, as if it was resonating with the devil dragon saber. His eyes were like torches as he stared at Yi Qinghan's back. He was getting more and more suspicious. In this world, other than Yi Qinghan, who could use the saber to such an extent? Lu Ning's breathing was rapid. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that Yi Qinghan was unfamiliar. Her forehead was dripping with sweat, and her chest was trembling. The god-slaying eagle was completely shocked. There were originally 9 fourth-grade ferocious beasts, but now 3 of them were gone in the blink of an eye, and they were all defeated by Yi Qinghan and his spiritual pets. Screech! The eagle screeched and its wings covered the sky. It wanted to kill Yi Qinghan, but it was stopped by Xianyuan Yu and Lu Patian. A great battle was about to break out. Tens of thousands of ferocious beasts roared. It was not easy to break through the defense of the Devil Valley. How could they give up just because of Yi Qinghan? The god-slaying eagle was alert. Xianyuan Yu and the others also wanted to stall for time until Yi Qinghan recovered and killed another Fate Palace realm ferocious beast. That would be perfect. The parrot was much more well-behaved. It was lucky that it managed to trick a Fate Palace realm beast. It might not be able to knock the next beast off the cliff with just a shake of its body. If the next beast was a god-slaying eagle, 10 of the parrot would be killed. Yi Qinghan's body shone brightly. His bronze skin looked perfect under the sunlight. He had absorbed at least 20 middle-grade spiritual stones in a row. Such spiritual energy was enough to make someone at the peak of the Grotto Heaven realm explode. However, for Yi Qinghan, it was only enough for him to recover to the peak. He opened his eyes slightly. It was like a dragon opening its eyes, intimidating all creatures and frightening all ferocious beasts. Even the Fate Palace realm ferocious beasts were scared out of their wits and were unwilling to fight head-on. Screech! He took out a black windbreaker from his interspatial ring and put it on. The windbreaker fluttered in the wind, revealing his slender legs. He looked extremely handsome. The devil dragon saber was even more ferocious. He flipped the saber, and the cold light was dazzling. Screech! The god-slaying eagles were unwilling to give up. They stopped hesitating and roared in unison. Tens of thousands of ferocious beasts responded and wanted to attack again. Yi Qinghan smirked. A murderous intent swept across the heads of the ferocious beasts. They were so frightened that they retreated and kept growling. Since you want to fight again, let's end this. Either you attack the Owlfall Star, or you'll all be slaughtered. Yi Qinghan snorted coldly and turned into a sharp blade that pierced into the hearts of the ferocious beasts. Hee, it's a pity to kill them. I think these 2 eagles are not bad. Let's capture and tame them. In the future, we won't have to waste so much energy flying around, the parrot said arrogantly. The parrot's way of thinking was strange. Other people tamed ferocious beasts to help them in battle, but the parrot wanted to save some energy for itself. The god-slaying eagles were much smarter than other ferocious beasts. They had extremely high intelligence. When they heard the parrot's clamor, they tore the void with their sharp claws and roared at the parrot. They did not care whether the parrot's bloodline was high or not, and directly pounced on Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan raised his blade and his aura exploded. His clothes fluttered and affected the surrounding laws. The wind whistled and he pointed his long blade at the god-slaying eagle. The god-slaying eagle's figure stopped abruptly. It was dozens of meters away from Yi Qinghan, but Xianyuan Yu did not stop it. He hoped that Yi Qinghan could kill one of the god-slaying eagles. Then the humans would definitely win today. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan could not win. He could only take advantage of the situation and use the aura of a great martial venerable to suppress the god-slaying eagle. The aura suppressed the heavens and the earth. Not only the god-slaying eagle, even Xianyuan Yu found it difficult to breathe. All creatures were in awe and did not dare to look directly at him for fear of blaspheming the god in front of them. Retreat or die. The low voice was like thunder. The explosion made everyone tremble and goosebumps rise. Arrogant. Too arrogant. No one below the realm of Tao Master dared to use such a tone to speak to the god-slaying eagle. Xianyuan Yu also did not dare to say that he could kill the god-slaying eagle alone. But Yi Qinghan, with the 6 stars of the bitter sea, dared to say so, and the god-slaying eagle did not fly into a rage. The god-slaying eagle's pupil shrank, as if it was being stared at by a Tao Master. It had never seen anyone who could release such an aura. It was not that it was timid, but Yi Qinghan's aura was too terrifying. The stalwart body was rising. Although it was still so tall, it looked as if Yi Qinghan was indomitable. Xianyuan Yu was overjoyed and could not help but shout, "Fellow Yi, please kill this evil beast. We will counterattack." Yi Qinghan was speechless. He could not fly, and was not a real Tao Insight Realm cultivator. How could he be compared with the god-slaying eagle? It was already good enough to suppress it in terms of aura. But he still wanted to counterattack? Everything has spirituality. The more you kill, the more inner demons you have. It's not good for your realm. Let's stop and guard our own continent. Don't invade each other. Yi Qinghan pretended to be compassionate, but in fact, he really had no choice. Once it was exposed that he could not fight against flying experts. Who knew if these Fate Palace cultivators would become his enemies? Even those Tao Insight Realm cultivators would wait for an opportunity to kill him and snatch his cultivation method. The parrot curled its lips and secretly said, "Pretentious. If you can kill, you are more arrogant than me." And arrogant. Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at the parrot. Only then did the parrot remember that its thoughts were not a secret to Yi Qinghan. So it hurriedly shrank its head and smiled embarrassedly. Xianyuan Yu and the others were unwilling. This was a great opportunity to counterattack. How could they give up so easily? Fellow Yi, in this battle, many heroes have died tragically in the mouths of the ferocious beasts. Hundreds of thousands of mortals, hundreds of thousands of bitter sea realm cultivators, tens of thousands of Tao Insight Realm cultivators, and 7 Fate Palace cultivators have all died in their mouths. Why should we give up this opportunity? What status do you have to represent the hundreds of millions of creatures of the Alfal continent to negotiate peace with the Demon Valley continent? How will you face those heroes who have died? Tang Xing angrily scolded. Yi Qinghan frowned and sneered. Since you are not willing to negotiate peace, then let's fight. I will not intervene in the battle between Fate Palace cultivators. Yi Qinghan's words stunned Xianyuan Yu and the others. Even Lu Patian was somewhat dissatisfied. Fellow Yi, you are after all a human race cultivator of the Alfal continent. Do you want to watch countless heroes die tragically? Where is your king's style? Where is the heart of an expert? Do you still deserve to be called a human race cultivator? Tang Xing questioned with a cold face. Chapter 107. Fellow Taoist Yi, you're a human powerhouse on Alfal planet after all. Are you going to watch countless heroes die tragically? Where is your kingly demeanor? Where is the heart of a powerhouse? Do you still deserve to be called a human powerhouse? Tang Xing questioned. Tang Xing's question represented all the Fate Palace powerhouses on Alfaling planet. Since ancient times, humans had been at odds with the monsters in Devil Valley. They would kill on sight and never negotiate peace. Yi Qinghan had the ability to help humans win, but he was unwilling to do so. He had offended many people in an instant. Yi Qinghan looked coldly at the crowd before him. Some people were just too greedy. He had helped Xiao Yunxing because he didn't want to see the common people suffer and die tragically. However, this was on the premise that he didn't put himself in danger. Now that he was about to expose his bottom line, giving up was the best choice. However, they were still pushing their luck. They were shameless. I don't need you to judge whether I have the heart of a powerhouse or the kingly demeanor. I only do what I want to do. If you think you can fight back, then kill these Fate Palace powerhouses. As for the normal monsters, leave them to me. Yi Qinghan was disdainful. Some people were always greedy. After getting some, they would want more. They were shameless. At this moment, the god-slaying eagle no longer dared to move recklessly. Yi Qinghan was not willing to make a move now. If it forced Yi Qinghan to make a move, then it would be too foolish. It would be seeking its own death by forcing Yi Qinghan to lead the human race to counterattack the Demon Valley. Are you scared? Can't defeat the god-slaying eagle? Or maybe you can't fly, and don't want to expose your bottom line. Tang Sheng's eyes shone brightly as he revealed his guess. He did not give Yi Qinghan any face, and was not afraid of the god-slaying eagle finding out. It was as if he was reminding the god-slaying eagle that Yi Qinghan was just a mortal who looked good, but was useless. He was not a god. He wanted both of them to suffer losses. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He was so angry that he laughed and said in a low voice, "If that's what you think, you can try and see if I can kill you." Originally, they were still in the same camp, but now they were at loggerheads with killing intent everywhere. Xian Yuanyu was shocked and somewhat dissatisfied with Tang Sheng's attitude. Even if his guess was correct, he couldn't say it in front of countless ominous beasts. Not to mention, there were countless experts of Al Falling Star here. Wouldn't such a statement be pushing Yi Qinghan to a dead end? Brother Tang, you've gone too far. In any case, fellow Taoist Yi is our savior. He helped us out of goodwill. But it's also his freedom to not help us. Aren't you being a vile person who bites the hand that feeds him? Lu Patian saw the cold light in Yi Qinghan's eyes and immediately warned him. Maybe Yi Qinghan had some relationship with Lu Outyan and wanted to fight for it. I'm going overboard. Wasn't it too much to betray others? The ground was filled with corpses. He wants to negotiate peace. What is his intention? Tang Sheng spoke righteously, as if he was the savior of the world. His words were fierce, but he was speaking for the dead. Immediately, a group of people resonated with him. The parrot was speechless. It looked at Yi Qinghan and said, "Master, how can there be such a shameless weirdo in this world? This face tsk. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. This face can be used as a great defensive formation, absolutely unbreakable." Tang Sheng's old face changed and coldly glanced at the parrot. "What are you looking at? So what if you can fly? This divine bird is not afraid of you. However, this divine bird once said something. Do you want to know?" The parrot said disdainfully, "This king has no interest in talking to a beast like you. This old man will represent the common people and the dead to ask you, are you willing to prepare for war or kneel down and beg for peace with the demonic beasts?" Tang Sheng coldly looked at Yi Qinghan, his face full of disdain towards the parrot. "Fuck your ancestors. When I helped you kill Wild Tiger, you cheered. In the blink of an eye, you turned against me and burned the bridge after crossing the river. You're even more shameless than me. This old man once said that people who are more shameless than me will die. You will too. Believe me, because I'm already angry." The parrot was extremely angry. It was not like Yi Qinghan who could endure. The atmosphere in Flaming Cloud City was strange. Originally there were two sides, but now there were three sides. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold and emotionless. He looked at some people who were sparing no effort to criticize him, as if they were the saviors, and he was the bad guy who betrayed humanity. He could not help but grin coldly. "Tang Sheng, you're too much. Without them, we would have died long ago. Even if you don't thank us, you don't have to attack us with such filthy words." Lu Patian coldly scolded. Xian Yuanyu and the others had ugly expressions. If they were to fall out with Yi Qinghan at this time, it would definitely be a loss for the human race. If they angered Yi Qinghan, he might just leave, and the outcome of today's battle would be unknown. Taoist Tang Sheng, please apologize to Taoist Yi Qinghan and the divine bird. For the future of Al Falling Star, please apologize sincerely. Otherwise, Al Falling Star will be destroyed because of you. Xian Yuanyu did not want to offend Yi Qinghan, so he could only offend Tang Sheng. Tang Sheng stood on the moral high ground and used humanity's righteousness to criticize Yi Qinghan. However, he did not expect to be countered by Xian Yuanyu. If he did not apologize, the responsibility of Al Falling Star's defeat would be all on Tang Sheng. Seeing Tang Sheng criticizing Yi Qinghan, the god-slaying eagle calmed down and retreated with the 10,000 beasts. It was ready to let both sides suffer. At least it had to break their alliance. Yi Qinghan saw Tang Sheng showing his bottom line in front of him and couldn't help but smile coldly. His aura rose, and he looked down at Tang Sheng with disdain. He sneered, "Tang Sheng, don't use humanity's righteousness to pressure me. If it wasn't for the innocent people of Al Falling Star, do you think I would have done it? What does the death of a shameless person like you have to do with me? 1 second, you received our kindness. The next moment, you humiliated us. You're a bitch, and you still want to pretend to be chaste. What right do you have to pressure me with righteousness? Do you think I care about their accusations? When I helped Al Falling Star, I didn't think about repaying them. However, when you repay kindness with enmity, don't blame me for being ruthless." The demon blade shone coldly. Yi Qinghan was on the verge of exploding in anger. If it wasn't for the god-slaying eagle and the other demonic beasts nearby, he would have killed Tang Sheng today. The divine power of a Dao master was vast and mighty. His eyes were intimidating. His clothes were fluttering, and his long hair was flying. His clear eyes saw through the evilness of human nature. Yi Qinghan suppressed his emotions. He was neither sad nor happy. Tang Sheng's breathing stagnated. He was intimidated by Yi Qinghan and did not dare to push him too far. He was afraid that Yi Qinghan would directly side with the demonic beasts and take the opportunity to kill him. If that happened, there would be no one to help him. I agree with fellow Taoist Ye's idea of peace. Now we're evenly matched. Even if we counterattack, both of us will suffer. It will only increase the number of casualties. Yi Lingyu's cold blade was shiny and threatening. Although he was only in the Grotto Heaven realm, he was not inferior to the Fate Palace realm. Looking at Yi Qinghan's profile, he thought for a moment and decided to speak up for Yi Qinghan. Then he continued, "Fellow Taoist Tang Sheng, you don't distinguish between right and wrong. You just casually accused this parrot that helped us and insulted fellow Taoist. I really don't understand your intentions. Do you want to test his bottom line and true strength? If fellow Taoist Yi wins, you can take most of the credit. If he loses, you'll take the opportunity to fight for the secret skill?" Yi Lingyu's aura exploded. His words were sharp and went straight to Tang Sheng's heart. Tang Sheng's body trembled and his face turned ugly. He shouted angrily, "Ignorant junior, I'm speaking up for the dead fellow Taoist. I'm speaking up for the souls of Al Falling Star. You're not from Al Falling Star. Of course you don't care about their lives. What a joke. You're fighting for Al Falling Star. Aren't fellow Taoist Yi and I the same? If we don't care about the lives of so many people, do you really think you can stop us if we leave? Do you dare to stop us? This is the first time I've seen such a shameless person who bites the hand that feeds him." Lu Ning also stood up and scolded coldly. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu were powerful. Not only were they kings, but they also had a fifth-rank family behind them. Even if Tang Sheng's strength was extraordinary, he wouldn't dare to do anything to them. At this moment, he was criticized until his face turned red, but he couldn't refute. Although Lu Ning and the others weren't from Al Falling Star, they were fighting for Al Falling Star. They were standing on the moral high ground. In addition, the forces behind them were powerful. Everyone could only be grateful, but they didn't dare to criticize them. However, Yi Qinghan was different. He was from Al Falling Star. It was natural for him to fight for Al Falling Star. No matter how much Yi Qinghan sacrificed, they wouldn't take it to heart. This was the human heart. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and glanced at the crowd. He knew that today's matter didn't leave a favor behind. Instead, he offended some people. The corner of his mouth twitched. He looked at the god-slaying eagle, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. A plan emerged in his mind. Since he offended Tang Sheng, he had to show his goodwill to Lu Patian. If he could get Xian Yuanyu, he would. If not, it didn't matter. "Everyone, I agree with the counterattack. However, since Tang Sheng is so confident and wants to avenge our dead friends, it seems like he has the confidence to win. How about we ask him to deal with the god-slaying eagle?" Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. Everyone looked at Tang Sheng. His face turned purple. The god-slaying eagle's strength wasn't something an ordinary person could deal with. Unless the Qinglong Taoist was reborn, who would dare to say that they could kill the god-slaying eagle in the Fate Palace realm? However, rejecting Yi Qinghan's suggestion at this time was like slapping his own face. What? Brother Tang Sheng, you just said that you were generous and wanted to avenge the dead. Now you don't say anything. Are you hoping that we will go to our deaths, and you will take advantage of us? Yi Qinghan's simple words were full of sarcasm. Tang Sheng was burning with anger. He looked at the countless experts of Owl Falling Star, who were looking at him with anticipation. He didn't know what to say. Tang Sheng, you just said that we don't care about our dead friends, and that we don't care about Owl Falling Star. Now it's your turn. Say something in front of everyone, Lu Ning asked. Yi Qinghan's move was absolutely vicious. He wanted to use someone else to do his dirty work. As long as Tang Sheng dared to agree, even if the god-slaying eagle couldn't kill him, he would kill him in secret. It seems like you don't want to counterattack. I can't do anything alone. Even if I agree now, I will fail. Fine, I will let go of this great opportunity and rest first. Tang Sheng pretended to be arrogant and said coldly, shameless. Pooh. The parrot sneered unceremoniously. Tang Sheng stared at the parrot and Yi Qinghan. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes, but it was quickly concealed. Tang Sheng had the intent to kill, but Yi Qinghan's intent to kill was even stronger. However, he didn't show it. The tense atmosphere changed to one of intrigue. The god-slaying eagle saw that it did not have much of a chance, and was unwilling to fight Yi Qinghan to the death, so it could only retreat with the 10,000 beasts. Yi Qinghan swept a glance at everyone, and immediately stepped out of the dilapidated fire cloud city. A few figures flashed and disappeared. 1 hour later, they blocked off the god-slaying eagle's countless beast horde 500 miles southwest of Fire Cloud City. The two of them, one with a saber and one with a guqin, stood proudly in the cold wind. The aura of Dao Venerables filled the air. They stared at the powerful beasts and refused to retreat. Chapter 108. The two of them stood proudly in the cold wind with a saber and a guqin. They stared at the powerful beasts and refused to take a step back. Screech, the god-slaying eagle screeched and glared at Yi Qinghan. They had already retreated, but he was still chasing them. Was he forcing them to fight with their lives? God-slaying eagles, I know you can understand what I'm saying. Ask them to retreat to the demonic valley first. I'll make a deal with the two of you alone. I promise you'll be satisfied. Let's see if you dare. Yi Qinghan held the devil's dragon saber tightly. He looked casual, but there were no flaws. As soon as the beasts attacked, he would use the ultimate dragon steps to escape. The god-slaying eagles growled and looked at Yi Qinghan in confusion. They did not know what he was going to do. The silver python that was hundreds of feet long moved its body and raised its head, ready to attack. The winged panther arched its back, ready to unleash its terrifying power at any time. The other two fourth-grade Fate Palace ferocious beasts glared at Yi Qinghan, eager to devour his flesh. The god-slaying eagles were cautious. If Yi Qinghan wanted to fight, he would have joined forces with the other Fate Palace warriors to kill them. Now that he was facing them alone, he must have other plans. Screech! Screech! The two god-slaying eagles screeched at the same time, ordering the other beasts to leave and face Yi Qinghan alone. The other Fate Palace beasts stared at Yi Qinghan, Emperor Yi and the parrot. The blood of the two humans, and the beast was fatally attractive to them. However, they were intimidated by Yi Qinghan's aura and the god-slaying eagle's orders. They turned and left reluctantly. After a long time, only the two god-slaying eagles, Yi Qinghan, his disciple, and the parrot were left within a 1,000-meter radius. Yi Qinghan stared at the descending god-slaying eagles in the cold wind and said in a deep voice, "Let's make a deal. Be my spiritual pet for 3 years, and I'll give you the method to evolve your 5th-grade bloodline. After 3 years, I will voluntarily give up the spiritual pet contract." Humans trading with the god-slaying eagle was no different from asking a tiger for its skin. But now they had no choice but to do so. Not being able to fly was Yi Qinghan's most fatal weakness. Even a Grotto Heaven Realm human would find it difficult to contend with him. Once the other party discovered him, 2 or 3 Grotto Heaven Realm experts would be able to drag him to death. Screeched, the god-slaying eagles were taken aback, and a bright light shot out from their eyes. It was obvious that they were interested, but they were not willing to be spirit pets, and they did not trust humans. The eagles said they don't believe you. They said they can trade in another way, but they don't agree to be your pet, the parrot explained while shrugging its head. Yi Qinghan smirked and said disdainfully, I'm not interested in other things. If you want to trade, then trade. If you don't want to trade, then forget it. The god-slaying eagle was stunned. It did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so ruthless. It was at a loss for what to do. There was a fundamental difference between a 5th-grade spirit beast and a 4th-grade ferocious beast. Firstly, there was a fundamental difference in intelligence. 5th-grade spirit beasts could take human form, speak human language, and cultivate secret techniques. Evolving a high-level bloodline was fatally attractive to the god-slaying eagle. Yi Qinghan naturally understood, so he was not willing to let the god-slaying eagle go overboard. He said again, this spirit-engulfing godly parrot has an ancient bloodline. It's already a 5th-grade spirit beast, and it's willing to be my pet. As for the rest of you, if I wasn't guarding against Fate Palace realm humans, I wouldn't bother to take you as my pet. If you don't trust me, then leave. Yi Qinghan turned and left after he finished speaking, not giving the god-slaying eagle a chance to speak. The god-slaying eagle's interest was piqued. How could it let Yi Qinghan leave just like that? It immediately flapped its wings and ran in front of Yi Qinghan, calling out incessantly. As an experienced spirit beast, the parrot obviously understood what it was saying. It murmured and then explained. They said, if you have something to say it slowly. Since it's a trade, we can express our sincerity. Maybe we can talk about it. Yi Qinghan suddenly smiled. How could such a creature's psychology hide from an old fox like him? No matter what, he was still a peerless genius in his previous life, the supreme warlord of the Xiaolong region. I'll only say it once. If you agree, then agree. If you don't, then forget it. Yi Qinghan said calmly, as if he did not care about the 2 powerful spirit beasts at all. He glanced at the god-slaying eagle and said seriously, if you form a contract with me and my disciple, you can borrow our high-level bloodline to nurture your own. I'll grant you the shape-shifting skill. As long as you have the materials, I can even refine the shape-shifting elixir for you. As long as you can take human form and open up your knowledge sea, you can cultivate secret techniques and develop toward a truly high-level creature. After 3 years, I'll automatically release you from the contract and let you leave. The more Yi Qinghan spoke, the more excited the god-slaying eagle became. Shape-shifting skill, shape-shifting elixir, these were not things that anyone could have or know. As for whether you can trust me or not, I don't think you need to trust me. If I can't do what I'm saying now, you can just kill your master and perish together with us. Now it depends on whether you dare to gamble. If you don't dare to gamble with your life in order to reach the peak, I advise you to stop cultivating. Be a ruler with peace of mind, and wait for your time to come. Attacking the human territory will also bring you calamity. Yi Qinghan said coldly. The god-slaying eagle's eyes were sharp, and divine light rippled as they communicated with each other. They were a couple, and it was obvious that they trusted each other very much. Yi Qinghan was not in a hurry. He had grasped the weakness of these demonic beasts. He could do whatever he wanted without any pressure. In the Huayan city, a large number of experts began to clean up the battlefield. Many of the corpses of the demonic beasts had become treasures. Even the Life Palace experts began to fight for them. However, most of them had their eyes on the savage bear and the rhinoceros. Their fur was enough to refine a grade 4 armor, or even a low-grade grade 5 armor. Grade 4 spiritual weapons, and even grade 5 combat weapons could not break through it. If it were not for Yi Qinghan's Devil Dragon Saber, Berserk, and Azure Dragon Arm, even he would not have been able to break through the defense of the savage bear and the rhinoceros. How do we split the savage bear and the rhinoceros? Xian Yuanyu's eyes flashed with greed as he asked. Of course, we'll split it equally. We'll split it into 5, and each of us will take one. Tang Xing looked at the savage bear's head greedily. Not only did he have his eyes on the savage bear and the rhinoceros skin, but he also had his eyes on the savage bear's demon core and the rhinoceros horn. A grade 4 demon core contained a lot of power, and the rhinoceros horn was the material for a grade 5 combat weapon. The Life Palace experts naturally had no objections to Tang Sheng's distribution, but Lu Patian was not willing. Now that Yi Qinghan was not here, he had to get a share for him as a sign of goodwill. Wait, Brother Yi killed the savage bear and the rhinoceros. He should be the one to decide how to distribute them, not us, right? Lu Patian said in a deep voice. Humph. A rookie at the Bitter Sea realm who only relied on brute force. How can we let him squander such treasures? It's a great loss to the human race. Tang Sheng said unhappily. Dongfang Yu and the others quickly nodded. They supported Tang Sheng and did not want to let go of the savage bear and the rhinoceros corpses. Xianyuan Yu was in a difficult position. He still had some conscience. Yi Qinghan had just killed so many people, but now he did not get a share of the treasures. When he came back, wouldn't there be a fight? Why don't we give him some? The rhinoceros horn and demon core are not his, but we leave some skin for him. How about that? Xianyuan Yu asked tentatively. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning looked at each other and could not help but sneer. These people were too shameless. Even if they did not give Yi Qinghan a share, there should be a share for the two kings. Brother Lu Ning, and I want the rhinoceros horn. We also want a share of the rhinoceros and savage bear's skin. If you don't want to give it to us based on your strength, then go ahead and try. Yi Lingyu shouted. What a joke. Two juniors are so arrogant. Do you think there's no one in the Owl Falling Star? Tang Sheng was furious. The rhinoceros horn was the most precious thing. How could he give it to them? Humph. If we didn't stop you, you would have been devoured by the god-slaying eagle. Would you still be alive to split the treasures? Lu Ning asked disdainfully. Tang Sheng was burning with anger. He did not want to take the risk to fight the god-slaying eagle, but he wanted to snatch the treasures with all his might. Brother Yi and Brother Lu are indebted to the Owl Falling Star, so there's nothing wrong with splitting the treasures. However, the rhinoceros horn is a material for a 5th grade combat weapon. It's not appropriate for you two juniors to take it. You can have an extra share of the fur, but you must leave the rhinoceros horn behind. What do you think? Xianyuan Yu was an old fox. He still wanted to curry favor with the Lu family. Obviously, he did not want to offend Lu Ning and the people behind Yi Lingyu. What if we insist on the rhinoceros horn? Lu Ning asked coldly. Impossible. Don't even think about touching the rhinoceros horn. The demon core is also out of the question. It's already good enough that you can use the fur to make some soft armor. Don't say that we're bullying you. Dongfang Yu stood out and said coldly. That's right. Don't even think about touching the rhinoceros horn or the demon core. This belongs to my brother. He killed 2 4th grade Fate Palace beasts, so the credit belongs to him. We'll split it according to his contribution. Don't even think about touching it. Lu Outyan said in a muffled voice. Ignorant junior, you don't have the right to speak. If it weren't for Brother Patian, I would have killed you with my sword. Tang Sheng scolded disdainfully. Lu Outyan's face turned ugly. He clenched his fists and took a deep breath. He had to swallow his anger. Revenge was a dish best served cold. Once he cultivated the great reincarnation sword art, killing a Fate Palace cultivator would be a piece of cake. You can try. If you use your sword with your left hand, I'll cut your left hand. If you use your right hand, I'll cut your right hand. If you touch even a strand of hair on my brother's head, I'll cut off your head. A thunderclap exploded. The warriors who were dividing the treasures stopped and looked into the distance. Who else could it be but Yi Qinghan? Yi Qinghan pulled Emperor Yi with his left hand and held the devil's dragon saber with his right hand. He rode the parrot on his shoulder and walked with the wind. His long hair fluttered behind him. His aura was overwhelming. How arrogant. Since you don't care about the fur, don't even think about taking it away. Don't even touch a strand of hair on the rhinoceros and the bear. Those are my trophies. If you dare touch them, I'll cut off your heads. The hoarse voice contained a supreme will. It was terrifying. It was like a divine saber hanging in the sky, ready to fall and destroy the stars. The arrogant voice filled the flaming cloud city. He didn't take the Fate Palace cultivator seriously. The terrifying aura suppressed the warriors so much that they didn't dare to move. They didn't even dare to take the fur and demon cores of the low-level beasts, for fear of angering Yi Qinghan. Chapter 109. The Flaming Cloud City was dead silent. Everyone stood still and looked at Yi Qinghan. They clenched their swords and sabers, but no one dared to fight for the corpses of the beasts. Even though a third-grade beast was worth more than 10 mid-grade spiritual crystals. Gulp. Everyone swallowed their saliva and waited for the battle between the Fate Palaces to end. Tang Sheng was greedy and wanted to fight for the rhinoceros horn and the beast core. However, Yi Qinghan was even more ruthless. He would not give them a single strand of hair from the two fourth-grade beasts. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi to the Flaming Cloud City. He held his saber horizontally and stood in front of the rhinoceros and the bear. His eyes were filled with determination. "Brother Yi, you're too arrogant. Killing fourth-grade beasts is not something you can do alone. Without us stopping the other fourth-grade beasts, do you think you have a chance to kill the rhinoceros and the bear? If you want to take the treasures for yourself, you have to ask for our permission." Tang Sheng's aura exploded as he confronted Yi Qinghan. Dongfang Yu and Situfeng immediately stood by Tang Sheng's side. Their attitude was clear. Lu Patian stood on Yi Qinghan's side without hesitation. Whether or not they could form a relationship with Yi Qinghan would depend on today's battle. Xian Yuanyu was in a difficult position. If he were to pick a side now, it would be difficult for either of them to gain an advantage if a fight broke out. What was more important was Yi Qinghan's strength. If he had a hidden trump card, such as a life palace that could allow him to fly or kill humans, wouldn't he be courting death if he stood on the other side? Everyone, please calm down. We shouldn't be fighting among ourselves right after the calamity. As the saying goes, the treasures belong to those who are fated. How about we share them equally? Brother Yi contributed the most, and I support him to take the bigger share. Xian Yuanyu was a sly old fox. He did not want to offend Yi Qinghan, but he also wanted to get some benefits, so he chose to be neutral. "No, I already said that I killed the rhinoceros and the bear. Don't even think about taking them. Otherwise, you'll have to ask for my saber's permission," Yi Qinghan said coldly. "Arrogant. Today, I'll fight you and see how strong you are." Tang Sheng sneered. The spiritual sword in his hand exploded and sword chi shot out in all directions. Dongfang Yu and Situfeng followed closely behind. Their auras erupted and astral winds howled. "Haha, good. If you want to take the treasures, you'll have to see if you have the ability to do so. Defeat me and these treasures will all be yours. If you lose, prepare to die." Yi Qinghan laughed maniacally. The dragon chi of the demon dragon saber surged. With a flip of the saber, even though it was a demonic saber, it had a berserk aura. Grown, Lu Patian gritted his teeth and decided to attack. His sword pierced through the clouds as he pointed at Tang Sheng's group and said in a low voice, "Brother Tang, if you dare to attack, don't blame me for attacking as well. Let's talk on the sword of life and death. 3 against 2. Brother Lu, think carefully before you pick a side. You still have Lulan behind you." Dongfang Yu threatened coldly. "Then don't forget that you still have the state government of Qing and the Dongfang and Situ families behind you," Lu Patian said coldly. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he looked at Xian Yuanyu coldly. Now it was time to see what Xian Yuanyu's attitude was. If he was going to kill them, he would kill them all. Xian Yuanyu smiled bitterly. At this moment, neither side would allow him to stand in the middle. However, which side to choose was a big problem. Tang Sheng had 3 people and Yi Qinghan had 2. If he chose Tang Sheng, it would be 2 against 1. It would be easy for him to win. However, deep down, Xian Yuanyu was inexplicably afraid of Yi Qinghan. He did not want to be his enemy. "Everyone, we're all from the same clan. We're weak to begin with. As Fate Palace powerhouses, you should think for the common people. Why do you have to kill each other for treasures?" Xian Yuanyu said helplessly. "It's not that I want to fight, it's just that he's too arrogant. I admit that he was able to kill the rhinoceros monster wild bear. However, without us, could he have killed it? Now he wants to take all the credit for himself, and is so arrogant. I can't accept this." Tang Sheng shouted angrily as if he had been wronged. Swish, so what? If you don't like it, you can come and take it. Yi Qinghan did not care. He waved his hand and put the rhinoceros horn into his interspatial ring. Then he swung his sword and took out the demon core in Wild Bear's head. He then took out the demon core of Wild Bear and the rhinoceros monster. He was as fast as lightning and did not give anyone a chance to react. Tang Sheng's face turned pale as if he had swallowed a fly. Now that the best treasures had been taken away by Yi Qinghan, there had to be blood if he wanted to take them back. Yi Qinghan did not bother to look at Tang Sheng and the rest. He kicked away the dismembered body of Wild Bear and threw it into the crowd. Since the Fate Palace powerhouses don't care about the meat, you can have it. The flesh of a grade 4 monster was rich in blood and was the best for replenishing energy and blood. How could the Fate Palace powerhouses not care about it? It was just that they cared more about the rhinoceros horn demon core and fur. Looking at the bloody flesh of Wild Bear and rhinoceros monster, the Fate Palace powerhouses no longer cared about the Fate Palace powerhouses' murderous stares. Since Yi Qinghan had given them away, they would be idiots if they did not take it. In an instant, at least 100 Fate Palace powerhouses pounced on the grade 4 monster's flesh. They tore off as many pieces as they could and put them all into their interspatial rings. Go away. This thigh is all mine. A powerful Fate Palace powerhouse, who was in the 4th step of the Fate Palace powerhouse, pushed away a weaker Fate Palace powerhouse next to him and hacked at the Wild Bear's hind legs. Since the weaker ones could not compete, they could only go for the less important parts. Even the most ordinary parts were much better than the flesh of a grade 3 monster. Hundreds of people fought over the bodies. In less than half an hour, the bodies of Wild Bear and rhinoceros monster were completely divided. Even the bones were taken away. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning smiled bitterly. Yi Qinghan was too arrogant. If you don't want to share the fur, rhinoceros horn, and demon core, you should at least leave the flesh and bones to us. Now not even a single strand of hair was left. Lu Patian and Xianyuan Yu thought that Yi Qinghan was too arrogant. He did not care about the Fate Palace powerhouses at all. Yi Qinghan looked at Tang Sheng with contempt as if he was saying, "What can you do to me?" The parrot was even more smug. It didn't mind watching the show and couldn't wait for Yi Qinghan to trample everyone under his feet. Tisk tsk. If someone's face was used as a defensive array, even a Tao Master level spiritual beast would not be able to break it. Oh my. His face turned red and purple. He even got angry. The parrot looked at Tang Sheng. Its words were enough to make people angry. Are they forcing me to make a move? He looks like he has no scruples. Can he really kill us? Tang Sheng had a strange look on his face as he stared at Yi Qinghan. Whoever made the first move would not stand on the moral high ground, as they would be condemned by the world. Even those at the Life Palace level would be despised. Dongfang Yu and Situ Feng were also very cautious. Xianyuan Yu was not on their side. If they really fought, both sides would suffer. If they made the first move, they would have a hard time in the future. Yi Qinghan did not make the first move, because he knew that he would have to stay on the Alfal planet for a while. He did not want to be surrounded by enemies. If he used the God-slaying eagle now, some people would spread rumors that he was the one who ordered the God-slaying eagle to lead thousands of beasts to attack the human territory. By then, he would not be able to defend himself. Both sides had their scruples. It was difficult for them to fight under such circumstances. Tang Sheng did not get anything. He could not help but groan. This person's appearance is strange. I've never heard of him before. I have to find out where he came from. Then, I'll gather the powerhouses from the big families who are nearing the end of their lives to suppress him. I'll let him go for now. Thinking of this, Tang Sheng left. Dongfang Yu and the others followed closely behind. Once the Fate Palace cultivator left, the fight for the beasts' bodies became even fiercer. Some people even drew their swords. It was very likely that a fight would break out. Ling Chen, Lu Outyan, and the others joined in the fight. These were rare treasures. Normally, no one would dare to go to the Demon Valley to kill beasts unless they had a death wish. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu did not move. They kept staring at Yi Qinghan. The doubts and suspicions in their hearts grew. Yi Qinghan smirked. He whispered, Are the two of you curious about my identity? If you're not afraid, then follow me out of the city. Yi Qinghan turned around and left Flaming Cloud City with Emperor Yi. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu frowned. They spread their wings and followed closely behind. They were getting further and further away from Flaming Cloud City. The four of them gradually disappeared under the distant sky. Lu Patian and Xian Yuanyu looked at each other and could not help but smile bitterly. Brother Lu, you stood on Brother Ye's side so strongly. Tell me the truth. Did you know him before? Where did he come from? Xian Yuanyu asked Lu Patian. Lu Patian was helpless. He chose Yi Qinghan based on his intuition. Moreover, he had a layer of relationship with Lu Outyan. When Xian Yuanyu asked, he could only shake his head. Then, Xian Yuanyu and Lu Patian looked at Lu Outyan. Their sharp eyes made him tremble. Outyan, who is that Brother Yi? How did you know him? Lu Patian asked seriously. Lu Outyan's expression changed. Without Yi Qinghan's consent, he obviously would not tell the truth. He looked at Yi Mingxi and cupped his fists. Old ancestor, Senior Xian Yuan. It's better for you to wait for Brother Yi to come back and ask him personally. I can only say that I'm sorry. I have no comment. You can't even tell me? Lu Potion's face darkened as he asked in a low voice. Lu Outyan did not hesitate to shake his head. He chose to remain silent. On the road to the east of Flaming Cloud City, Qin Haoren was crazily chasing after Tang Sheng and company. The hatred in his heart made him completely lose his mind. Tang Sheng was not in a hurry. He was slowly moving forward to discuss countermeasures with Dongfang Yu and Situfeng. Halfway there, Qin Haoren caught up. Seniors, please take care. I have information that you want to know. Qin Haoren's face was ferocious. He wanted Tang Sheng and Co. to immediately kill Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. Tang Sheng and Co. were stunned. Seeing Qin Haoren rushing over, they were immediately overjoyed. Emperor Yi was Qin Shi Huang and was related to Qin clan. Then her master would naturally be related to Qin clan. Qin Haoren chasing over clearly knew something. So it's Qin clan's brat. What do you want to tell us? Tang Sheng pretended not to know and asked indifferently. Chapter 110. So it's the kid from the Qin clan. What do you want to tell us? Tang Sheng pretended not to know and asked indifferently. Qin Haoren adjusted his aura and restrained his hatred for Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. He cupped his fists and said, I know Yi Qinghan's background. He comes from a small town in the Qingyang Kingdom and has no family background. The kid next to Lu Outyan is called Yi Mingxi, his sister. Wang is his mother. The maid next to him is called Jian Chenxue. His body is very strong and he can't fly. He can only rely on his explosive power to fight against Tao Insight Realm experts. Moreover, he can only last for a short time. This is his fatal weakness. If you want to deal with him, it's very simple. With your speed and height, you just need to dodge 3 of his attacks, and he will be slaughtered. Qin Haoren sneered viciously. The murderous intent in his eyes couldn't be hidden from Tang Sheng and the others. You seem to hate him. Is that why you want to tell us? You want to kill him with a borrowed knife? Tang Sheng's blood boiled and his eyes flashed. He looked at Qin Haoren and said, Yes, I want to kill him with a borrowed knife. I only ask that you 3 seniors kill Qin Huang when you kill Yi Qinghan. I can't kill this traitor myself, but I can't let her live either. Qin Haoren said viciously, You didn't lie to us about Yi Qinghan? Tang Sheng's aura exploded and suppressed Qin Haoren for fear of getting the wrong information. I wouldn't dare to lie to you 3 Fate Palace seniors. Otherwise I'll be struck by lightning. Qin Haoren's face suddenly turned pale. He took a few steps back and said with a bow, In the demon cave in the southwest, a young man with black hair stood up slowly. His eyes were like the sun, moon, and stars. He had an extraordinary temperament and gave people a strange feeling of being both an immortal and a demon. His tall and straight body stood under the demon heart tree. Although the evil spirit sword in his hand was still unsheathed, it was enough to shock the heavens. His thumb moved the hilt of the sword. The sword's hum roared in the void with an evil aura. This man was Xian Wuyu. Not only was his qi repaired, but it was also many times stronger than before. The demonic spirit treasured body emitted an eerie cold air. It was so cold that it made people unable to breathe. Whoosh! The fifth-grade vibrating spirit wings spread out, and Xian Wuyu leaped into the air. The evil spirit sword was unsheathed, and evil chi soared into the sky. The cold light turned into lightning and rushed to the end of the wilderness. A terrifying crack appeared in midair, forming a violent wind that tore the mortal world apart. Evil sword art. It is indeed powerful, worthy of being the most powerful treasure of the ancient owl falling star. Now that it is in my hands, I will definitely not disgrace you. Within 3 days, I will let you dye the continent red with blood and slaughter all the heroes. A cold light flashed in Xian Wuyu's eyes as he unleashed his invincible aura. His king's chi was even denser than that of a king's chi. It was comparable to Yi Qinghan's. The demonic heart fruit was an ancient spirit fruit. The grade of the demonic sword art and the demonic sword was unknown, but they were not inferior to the 5th grade. In the hands of the demonic spirit treasure body, their power would be terrifying. Xian Wuyu soared into the sky and rushed to the central region continent. His appearance would definitely cause a bloodbath in the continent. The owl falling star might also become famous and appear in the eyes of the experts of the owl dragon region. Yi Qinghan was facing Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning at this moment, and the uneasiness in his heart grew stronger. The sense of danger was overwhelming, as if he was being watched by a poisonous snake. If the danger does not come from them, could it be from Tang Sheng and the others? Yi Qinghan frowned, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He then looked at Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning. "Who are you?" Yi Lingyu asked in a deep voice, holding his treasured sword. "Don't you remember me?" Yi Lingyu. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Stop pretending, you can't be Supreme Yi. He is dead," Yi Lingyu shouted without hesitation. "Tell me your name, or don't blame me for being impolite today." "Lingyu, do you still remember that I once said that the saber Dao is divided into 4 realms? The first realm is to control the saber and injure others and oneself. The second realm is to control the saber, and the saber Dao is at initial success. The third realm is to become one with the saber and control the world. The fourth realm is to use flowers as a saber and all things as a saber. Is that the saber Dao is complete?" Yi Qinghan asked calmly. Yi Lingyu was shocked and took a few steps back. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Yi Qinghan had said this to him before, but he did not tell anyone. Other than Yi Qinghan, no one knew about it. He could not help but murmur, "You are really Supreme Yi. Didn't you explode and die? Who is he? Who is Supreme Yi? Why do I not know him? But I have a feeling of déjà vu." Lu Ning asked softly. Yi Lingyu was stunned. Lu Ning actually did not know Yi Qinghan. That was simply impossible. "I changed your memory, so you don't remember me. However, when you reach the Dao Sovereign Realm, your memory will automatically recover," Yi Qinghan said calmly, his clothes fluttering in the wind. Yi Lingyu's pupils constricted. He instantly understood why Yi Qinghan had lured him here. He took another step back and said cautiously, "You want to change my memory? Supreme Yi, although I am indebted to you, I will not allow you to change my memory." "Wait, did you say that you changed my memory?" Lu Ning was shocked. With Yi Qinghan's strength, he might have a chance to kill her, but it was impossible for him to change her memory without her knowing it. Moreover, there was not a single wound on her body. "Yes, you were the one who gave up your defense and asked me to change it. I hope that you will give up again, because I don't want to kill you," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. "No, there is nothing wrong with Lu Ning asking you to change it, but I can't. My goal is to surpass you. Now, I will let you change my memory without any resistance. Even if I reach the Dao Sovereign Realm and recover my memory, today's scene will be me stepping into the peak of the Great Dao. I will never surpass you." Yi Lingyu's aura exploded. His saber chi rushed in all directions, rolling up the forest. His aura was terrifying. "You are now at the brink of minor success in saber Dao, but you are not there yet. Your improvement is quite fast, but it is still not enough in front of me. You are very talented. Don't force me to kill you," Yi Qinghan said coldly. "Supreme Yi, the outcome of today's battle has not been decided yet. Others may not understand you, but I do. If you could fly, You would take the opportunity to kill or conquer the god-slaying eagle today. You would not compromise and negotiate for peace. Yi Lingyu was extremely strong. A true powerhouse's Dao heart was firm. In other words, they were stubborn. Supreme Yi, I am indebted to you. I will not repay your kindness with ingratitude. This time, I have not seen you on Al Falling Star. As long as you do not attack, I will not attack either. It depends on whether you believe me or not. Yi Lingyu said in a low voice. Buzz, a divine guqin flashing with divine light suddenly appeared in Emperor Ye's arms. His 5 fingers plucked the 9 strings of the guqin fiercely. The flesh of his 5 fingers exploded, but the sound of the guqin pierced through the sky and broke through everything. Without any warning, it directly attacked Yi Lingyu's sea of consciousness. Poof! Yi Lingyu defended against Yi Qinghan, but did not defend against Emperor Yi. He coughed up blood and flew backward. His consciousness was in a mess, and his eyes were blurred. He almost fainted. Yi Qinghan's figure moved. He turned his fist into a palm blade, and directly struck the back of Yi Lingyu's head. Yi Lingyu only had time to groan before he fell to the ground and fainted. Lu Ning held her silver whip tightly, and looked at Emperor Yi cautiously. She felt that this little girl, who was like a porcelain doll, was too terrifying. In an instant, she broke through the sea of consciousness of a Grotto Heaven Realm powerhouse. It was simply beyond her comprehension. Lu Ning, ask your heart. Do you want to be my enemy? Or do you want me to change your memories, so that you can leave planet Alfal and return to Al Dragon area? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Lu Ning looked confused. Even though Yi Qinghan had suppressed Yi Lingyu, she could not feel any hostility toward Yi Qinghan. Now that he wanted her to change her memories, she still could not feel any hostility toward him. This weird way of thinking made her go crazy. She felt as if she could not control her own soul. Lu Ning, I know you are confused. Why did you not resist when I changed your memories? I cannot explain it to you now. You can think of it as making a deal with me. I will seal and change your memories, but in the future, I will give up some for you. Even if you forget the deal now, you will remember it later. Now, I hope you can still let me change your memories, Yi Qinghan said quietly. Lu Ning clenched her fists. She wanted to refute Yi Qinghan's suggestion, but her heart was not listening to her. This feeling of helplessness made her want to cry. You and I know each other, but fate makes fools of us. You willingly gave up resisting, and let me change your memories. That already explains everything. Now, even if you have forgotten me, you still do not want to be my enemy. I will remember you in my heart. Close your eyes and rest for a while. Soon, you will wake up, and you will have another layer of memories to train with. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. It contained a special power. Together with the low melody that Emperor Yi played, Lu Ning felt drowsy. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up. He did not expect Lu Ning's feelings to be so deep. Even if she had forgotten about him, she was still unwilling to make a move. He could not help but sigh inwardly. He said helplessly, "It is destined to be a tragedy. Perhaps I should seal this memory completely." His divine sense surged into Lu Ning's mind. He replaced her training on Alfal planet with a memory of how he had been severely injured and had fled back to Alfal region. Then, he replaced part of Yi Lingyu's memories with this memory. Finally, he opened Lu Ning's universe ring and took out a small cloud-piercing ship. It looked like a small boat that was sealed, but it also looked like a high-tech device that could travel through the universe. This cloud-piercing ship was worth at least 2 to 3 million mid-grade spirit stones. Yi Qinghan placed Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning inside the cloud-piercing ship. He opened the cloud-piercing ship and quickly set the parameters. He adjusted the coordinates of Alfal region and let it drive itself. It traveled through the Milky Way and charged out of the Milky Way. Phew! Yi Qinghan let out a breath. As long as Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning could stabilize themselves, Alfal planet would be peaceful for at least a few years. He could also cultivate for a few more days. He did not need too much time. If he had 3 years, he would not need to fear Alfal region. Even if Alfal region's experts came to invade, he could still escape if he could not kill them. Master, Tang Sheng and the others have returned to Flaming Cloud City. Qin Haoran is also there. He betrayed you. Emperor Ye's divine sense had been expanding outwards. He maintained a vigilant state. When he saw Qin Haoran leading Tang Sheng and the others back to Flaming Cloud City, his gentle face finally became slightly angry. His tolerance towards Qin Haoran had turned into indulgence. He did not expect that Qin Haoran would actually collude with outsiders to kill him for his own selfish desires. He is just a piece of trash. One's state of mind determines everything. This kind of person who even wants to kill his own sister for worldly possessions should stop at the sea of bitterness. Since that is the case, I will send him to hell. Yi Qinghan's eyes surged with a chilling light. His killing intent shot out in all directions. A tyrannical and sharp aura burst out. He intentionally left his aura behind and turned to charge into the distance. His figure shot out and was getting further and further away from Flaming Cloud City. Countless barren mountains and steep ridges sped behind him. His vigorous body seemed to be walking on the wind. Emperor Yi was even brought up into the sky. Behind him, Tang Sheng and the others followed closely. They did not conceal their killing intent at all. Chapter 111. Yi Qinghan's silhouette sped through the wilderness. In the end, he lifted Renhuang Yi, the little girl, onto his shoulder. The stars spun, and he was about to shatter the void. Emperor Ye's hair was flying in the wind, and his eyes were blurred. He could feel the 3 terrifying auras behind him. But he was not worried. The parrot suddenly shouted, "There's still the bald tiger under the cliff. Let's take it and surround them." Tang Xing only had 3 fate palaces, but Yi Qinghan did not. The 2 deicide eagles were enough to suppress Tang Sheng and Dongfang Yu. Yi Qinghan, Emperor Yi, and the parrot could easily defeat them, but it would be difficult to kill them. With the addition of the wild tiger, their chances would be greatly increased. Yi Qinghan's eyes lit up. He hit his aura and took a detour to the cliff. Tang Sheng and the others crossed a lonely mountain, only to find that Yi Qinghan had disappeared. There was not even a trace of his aura. They could not help but frown as they looked into the sky. However, within 100 miles, there were mountains and forests. Looking for a person was like looking for a needle in a haystack. He should be nearby. He can't run away. Tang Sheng sneered and said disdainfully, "He can't fly. Since Xianyuan Yu doesn't dare to attack, and Lu Patian wants to curry favor with him, the 3 of us will benefit. 2 4th-grade demonic cores, a rhino horn, and so many 4th-grade hides. It's enough for the 3 of us to dominate Owl Falling Star." That's right. Yi Qinghan must have a lot of treasures, or at least secret techniques. He must have obtained some ancient treasures. If we can get a 5th-grade secret technique, ha. Sitafong laughed wildly, his eyes filled with greed. "It's useless to talk about this now. Let's find Yi Qinghan first," Dongfang Yu said in a muffled voice. In this boundless ancient forest, ancient trees covered the sky. The atmosphere was majestic and filled with the vicissitudes of life. It was awe-inspiring. The 3 powerhouses of the Fate Palace realm worked together to search the mountain range. Their imposing manner suppressed the ferocious beasts. Apart from the howling of the wind, no other sound could be heard. In the sky above Flaming Cloud City, a figure flickered, shattering the void and shifting the stars, making it hard for others to grasp his trajectory. A distance of 1,000 meters was traversed in an instant, and he suddenly descended on Flaming Cloud City. Looking down at the hell-like Flaming Cloud City, his cold and handsome face sank slightly as he appeared before Dekong. At this moment, Dekong was fighting for the demon cores when he was suddenly locked onto by a cold and ghastly aura. His entire body trembled as he raised his eyes to look at the familiar yet unfamiliar face. His eyes were filled with shock. "Brother Xian, you." Dekong looked at Leisure, who had become mysterious and unfathomable. He was so shocked that he could not speak for a long time. "I'm not dead." The corners of Xian Wuyu's mouth curled up, revealing an evil smile. He glanced around, disdainful of the people fighting over the demonic cores. He asked emotionlessly, "Beast Tide? The Demon Valley's defenses have been breached?" "Yes. Too many people died. In the end, if it wasn't for Yi Qinghan and the support from the rear, the entire Owlfall planet would have been destroyed." Dekong sighed. "Oh, Yi Qinghan is not dead yet? Where is he now?" Light flashed across Xian Wuyu's eyes. He was not angry but happy as he immediately asked. He left the city. He should be in the southwest mountain range. Brother Xian, Yi Qinghan's current strength is very terrifying. We have all underestimated him. I suggest you. Di Kong's expression sank. He was afraid that Xian Wuyu would find trouble with Yi Qinghan alone and meet with another mishap. Is it very terrifying? This is more interesting. A one-sided slaughter is not fun. Xian Wuyu was extremely excited. His blood was boiling as he spread his wings and flew up 1,000 meters. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from everyone's sight. His speed was unparalleled, and even Ling Chen was shocked. He has become so terrifying. Ling Chen clenched his fists tightly as battle intent surged out from his eyes. In the ancient desolate mountain range of Flaming Cloud City, the atmosphere was so oppressive that it made it hard for people to breathe. Dark clouds rolled in the sky as the pressure was vast and mighty. It was as if the sky was about to collapse and crush the land. Some of the weaker beasts were paralyzed as they looked up to the sky to breathe. Their eyes were filled with fear and despair. Xian Wuyu was like a great rock spreading its wings, stirring up the wind and clouds. He broke through the momentum of the heaven and earth. His every move shook the laws of the great Tao, which instantly alerted Tang Sheng and the others. The four's eyes made contact with each other. Sparks flew as they pierced through the void. Their auras exploded at the same time. A ray of eye intent crushed the ancient tree and the lone mountain. Tang Sheng and the others gasped as they looked at the young Xian Wuyu. He was only in the Grotto Heaven realm, but he gave them a terrifying sense of danger. They had only experienced this situation with Yi Qinghan. They did not expect such a monster to appear on the same day. Their eyes surged with killing intent. Xian Wuyu's eyes looked disdainfully at the three, as if he was looking at three weaklings. He asked coldly, "Have you seen Yi Qinghan?" He was looking for Yi Qinghan. Tang Sheng and the others were shocked. They did not know whether Xian Wuyu was Yi Qinghan's friend or not. "Who are you? You don't seem to be a young expert from Alfal Star." Tang Sheng asked tentatively. Xian Wuyu looked at Tang Sheng coldly and recognized him. He said in a low voice, "Tang Sheng, I am Xian Wuyu. I used to be one of the top 10 young experts of Alfal Star. Now, I am invincible, the #1 expert of Alfal Star. Let me ask you, where is Yi Qinghan?" Xian Wuyu's tone was arrogant, even more so than Yi Qinghan's. Even in the face of the three fate palaces, he did not show any respect. Instead, he acted like he was giving orders. Tang Sheng and the others' faces darkened. The #1 expert of Alfal Star. This was not limited to the younger generation, but the entire Alfal Star. Apart from the Azure Dragon Taoist, no one had dared to say this in the past 500 years. They did not expect another one to appear today, and it was a young man in the Grotto Heaven realm. #1 expert? It's good for young people to be arrogant, but it's not good to be too arrogant and not put the seniors in your eyes. Tang Sheng said disdainfully. Xian Wuyu's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He waved his hand, and the evil spirit sword appeared in his hand. It was cold and evil, breaking through Tang Sheng and the others' defenses, and heading straight for their Qi Cs. Tang Sheng and the others were shocked. They retreated and looked at Xian Wuyu with vigilance. Dongfang Yu frowned. She thought of Xian Wuyu's identity and asked, "Xian Wuyu, what is your relationship with Yi Qinghan? Why are you looking for him?" Xian Wuyu's eyes flashed with impatience. If not for the fact that his main target today was Yi Qinghan, he would have killed the three fate palaces first. However, he quickly suppressed his anger and said impatiently, "He and I are enemies. As for why I am looking for him, do I need to tell you? An enemy who would not rest until one of them died?" Tang Sheng and the others were overjoyed. The old fox's shrewdness was revealed. He laughed and said, "So Brother Xian is also enemies with Yi Qinghan. You are on the same side as us. Today, we joined forces to find him, but he is hiding in the mountains. We are looking for him. Let's work together. You can take revenge, and we can take his corpse. How about that?" Xian Wuyu gripped the evil spirit sword tightly, and a trace of disdain appeared on his face. He instantly understood what these old foxes wanted to do. However, since they were using each other, then they would use each other. At the cliff, Yi Qinghan raised his hand and looked at his right arm. There was a mark on his Azure Dragon arm, that looked like a miniature version of the god-slaying eagle. This was the mark of a spiritual pet contract. Once it recognized a master, and the spiritual pet died, the master would be severely injured. If the master died, the spiritual pet would die. Emperor Ye's jade arm had the same mark. It seemed that the god-slaying eagle could not escape the temptation, and became a spiritual pet. However, Yi Qinghan and Emperor Ye's bloodline was very strong. It was definitely beneficial for them. Come out. Bring me to the bottom of the cliff to see if Wild Tiger is dead. Yi Qinghan pointed at the mark, and the god-slaying eagle turned into a wisp of cloud and shot out from the azure dragon arm. Its deep eyes were filled with greed. It seemed that it was very satisfied with Yi Qinghan's azure dragon arm bloodline. Screech, the god-slaying eagle let out a soft cry, and spread its wings to rush down the cliff. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi down, and landed on the god-slaying eagle's huge back. They faced the strong wind and fell rapidly, but they were as steady as Mount Tai. Their black hair fluttered behind them, making them look like immortals descending to the mortal world. Halfway down the cliff, Wild Tiger was holding onto a support point pitifully. He was panting, and his eyes were filled with despair. The parrot looked at Wild Tiger shivering and swaying in the cold wind. It could not help but laugh mockingly. When Wild Tiger saw that the god-slaying eagle had arrived, he cried tears of joy. Then he saw that Yi Qinghan was standing on the god-slaying eagle's back. Yi Qinghan also had that stupid bird on his shoulder. He was instantly enraged. Screech, the god-slaying eagle let out a low roar, and flapped its wings in the air. The strong wind became even more ferocious. The cold wind was bone-piercing, and made their clothes flutter. The god-slaying eagle stretched out its sharp claws, and grabbed the tiger's forelimbs. The wild tiger, which weighed several tons, was lifted up easily by it. It could be seen that its claws were sharp enough to split mountains. Any defense would not be able to withstand its attack. Whoosh! The god-slaying eagle soared into the sky and broke through the air. In the blink of an eye, it rushed to the top of the cliff, and threw Wild Tiger to the side. Wild Tiger roared and glared at the parrot. It could be seen how unbearable its hatred was. Bald Tiger, how dare you go against your divine bird grandpa? Do you believe that I will throw you down again? The parrot sneered. All right, god-slaying eagle, I'll leave Wild Tiger to you. If it doesn't listen, I don't mind killing another fourth-ranked demonic beast, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Screech! The god-slaying eagle let out an angry roar, intimidating Wild Tiger. Wild Tiger was stunned, and then its face was filled with dissatisfaction and unwillingness. However, with the god-slaying eagle suppressing it, it quickly submitted. The god-slaying eagle returned to Yi Qinghan's azure dragon arm. It was unwilling to come out and greedily used the azure dragon's bloodline to evolve its body. Wild Tiger obediently lay on the ground. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi, and stepped on the tiger's back. He ordered, "Bring us into the depths." Wild Tiger ran wildly with an extraordinary aura. Along the way, it destroyed mountains and extinguished trees. Ancient trees were uprooted, instantly alarming Xian Wuyu and the others. Xian Wuyu spread his wings and hated the heavens and the earth. The stars moved and the moon covered. In an instant, he appeared in front of Wild Tiger. His toes touched an ancient tree, and he looked down at Yi Qinghan with a cold and arrogant smile. I've searched high and low for you, only to find you by chance. Xian Wuyu's voice was low and melodious. He said calmly, Yi Qinghan, we haven't seen each other for half a month. Do you still remember me? Yi Qinghan was stunned. He didn't expect Xian Wuyu to become even stronger after his qi was broken. He then looked at the evil spirit sword in his hand, and his pupils shrank. Clearly, he recognized this ancient famed sword. Shua! Without waiting for Yi Qinghan to reply, Tang Sheng and the others surrounded Yi Qinghan, and Emperor Yi from all directions. They sneered. Yi Qinghan, let's see where you can run to. Tang Sheng sneered sinisterly. Chapter 112. What I want to say is that all of you are the most handsome, the prettiest, the Prince Charming Queen. That's right. I'm talking about you. Look at yourself in the mirror. Am I wrong? The next chapter may not be as attractive as a novel, but I implore everyone to finish reading it. It's very important to me, Every time it's on the shelves, it's like a pregnant woman. I'm very excited and nervous. I'm afraid that I'll give birth to an abnormal child after 10 months of pregnancy. I hope that the child will be born healthy. My book is like my child. When it's on the shelves, it means that it will be born and grow. I'm really nervous. I'm afraid that it will be deformed. First of all, I want to thank everyone for following me for the past 2 months. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your tips, comments, recommendation votes, and favorites. Without you, there wouldn't be Kwang Wuzhan's achievements today. There wouldn't be Daodu today. I want to thank Sister Do for working hard every day to help with the promotion and management of the book reviews and group chat. I want to thank Qingyu, Etienne Xiaocheng Director Smile, Lin Hong Zhan Jian Phoenix Fantasy Dance, Angle Think of Love Dian Dian, Yu Little Huang Meng Jock Feather Rainbow etc. Also, I want to thank all of you for your tips and votes. There's a lot of people, hundreds of them. I won't thank you one by one, but I'll remember all of you in my heart. I want to thank the soft girls and tough guys in the group chat. I remember all of you. I want to thank the editor for thinking so highly of me and recommending me one after another. Doubt bowed deeply in gratitude. Let me tell everyone a short story. A restaurant opened in town. In order to attract customers and let more people know about their delicacies, they decided to provide free meals for a month. During this month, regardless of the weather, they provided 2 main meals a day and occasionally breakfast. Everyone thought that it was delicious. The owner of the restaurant saw that everyone liked it. Although some people scolded that the food was late or that it wasn't enough, he was still very happy. This feeling of being appreciated was very blissful, very blissful. However, no one could provide free meals all the time. After all, the boss also needed to pay rent, electricity, and material fees. Therefore, he decided to charge a certain amount of meal fees for the second month. It was very cheap. It was a good quality and cheap price. Anyone could afford it. However, the curses were overwhelming. Some people accused the boss of being a swindler. They blocked the door and cursed, thinking that the boss should always give them free food and should provide more and better food. Some people even directly sneaked in from the back door to steal food. After eating, they even smashed the back door of the restaurant so that more people could steal food. Of course, there were always a small number of such people. There were still more people who chose to continue eating in this small restaurant because it was delicious and cheap. The boss's efforts were always rewarded and recognized by many people, wasn't it? If this was news, I would like to ask everyone. Those who were holding their phones or sitting in front of their computers would definitely criticize those who cursed the boss or stole food from the back door, and even smashed the door, right? Similarly, Dowda worked hard for 2 months to let everyone read Kwang Wuzhan for free for 2 months. Every day, there were 2 updates, 6,000 words. Sometimes, there would be a burst of 10,000 words. This was the result of a day's work. Sometimes, it would take 2 hours to write 3,000 words. Sitting under the electric fan, sweating profusely, it was very tiring. However, seeing the number of bookmarks increasing one after another, and the readers rewarding me with large amounts of rewards, I felt very happy and blessed. This was being recognized. I believe everyone understands the feeling of working hard to do something and being recognized by others. However, I also need to eat, buy groceries, and live. I also want to sit under the air conditioner and write more comfortably. I can't always be free, so it's normal to charge for it. Just like work, no one will always work for others for free. That's why I will put it up for sale. For every 1,000 words, I will charge 3 to 5 cents. A chapter of 3,000 words will cost me 9 to 1 cent 50 cents. If I update 3 chapters a day, it will cost me 3 to 4 cents. That's about 10 RMB a month. For many people, it's just a pack of cigarettes, but it can buy me a month's worth of hard work. I believe that no one will bend down to pick up 20 cents on the street, right? It's really cheap, and anyone can afford it. Every reader who loves to read Xuanhuan fantasizes about the day when they can be like the main character, flying in the sky, fighting for justice, and trampling on all injustice. They are people who have a strong sense of justice. Don't ask me how I know, because I am such a person. I love to read Xuanhuan novels. Even so, there will still be some people who will sit under the air conditioner, holding their phones or sitting in front of their computers, smoking branded cigarettes and telling me, I don't have money to read. I can only reply with a bitter smile. I can only say that we come from all over the world to meet in Guangwuzhan. If we really can't support you, we will meet again if fate wills it. If not, we will part ways and meet again in the next chapter. After saying so much, it's just to ask for subscriptions. Go to Genesis Chinese Network, QQ Reading on mobile, QQ Reading, and QQ Reading to support the original subscriptions. Every single one of your subscriptions and donations are the greatest support for me. The great gods who become gods by writing books are supported by every subscription. Without your support, no matter how big the god is, it is just a bubble that will scatter with the wind. If they are called gods, then you are the creators. I also want to become a so-called god. Are you willing to create a god? Chapter 113. The three fate palaces were ferocious, and did not bother to hide their murderous intent at all. It was obvious that a sure-kill situation had been formed. Tang Xing seemed to have foreseen Yi Qinghan's death, and was extremely arrogant. Yi Qinghan frowned. He did not expect Wu Yu to appear out of nowhere, and become so powerful. He might not be able to defeat Wu Yu, even if he went all out. The evil spirit sword. I didn't expect you to inherit the evil spirit sword. You're lucky. Yi Qinghan did not look at Tang Sheng and the others. These clowns were nothing to be afraid of. Only Wu Yu, who was at the Grotto Heaven realm, made him cautious. Yi Qinghan, I didn't expect you to be so knowledgeable. You even know about the evil spirit sword. Wu Yu was not in a hurry. He was much calmer than before and looked mysterious. You want to join forces with them to take revenge? Yi Qinghan frowned. Ha ha. Yi Qinghan, you're too arrogant. If you want to take revenge, why would you need to join forces with them? Killing you is as easy as waving my hand. But since you're talented, I can consider letting you go if you become my slave. Wu Yu laughed wildly. His black hair danced in the wind, and his aura was overwhelming. Slave? Even if your evil spirit sword technique is at the 9th level, what can you do to me? Yi Qinghan was cautious, and chose to summon Frenzy instead of the Devil Dragon Saber. Although the Devil Dragon Saber was of a high level, it was suppressed by an unknown formation, and could only unleash 4th-rank power. It was not as powerful as Frenzy. He held the saber core in one hand, and the Frenzy saber in the other, and confronted Wu Yu with an imposing aura. He could not help but worry. Wu Yu was enough to hold him back, and the god-slaying eagle would be delayed by the 2 fate palaces. Emperor Yi would be in danger. He could not count on the parrot. It was impossible for it to fight against a fate palace realm warrior. If any of the 3 wanted to kill Emperor Yi, Frenzy Tiger would not be able to stop them. Wu Yu grinned, and activated his devil spirit treasure body. Demonic chi filled the sky, and caused a vision to appear. Red clouds gathered in the void, a demonic dragon rolled up, and a rainbow peacock flew in the sky. Special body constitution. Tang Sheng and the others were shocked. How many years had it been since a special physique appeared on Alphal Star? A terrifying special physique might not appear even once in several eras on a large planet, but a small planet like the Alphal Star had actually appeared. How could he not be shocked? However, Xian Wuyu was not the first to possess a special physique in this era. Emperor Yi was the first. Moreover, Emperor Yi's special physique was a rare physique in the Desolation era. For tens of thousands of years, there were only 2 people with this physique in the endless universe. Both of them had reached the quasi-emperor realm, and were able to kill the real Desolation demon emperors, step into the forbidden area, and fight against the heavens. Xian Wuyu's special physique was formed after eating the devil heart fruit. Yi Qinghan's eyes narrowed into slits as he stared at Xian Wuyu. If Xian Wuyu had an ordinary physique, even if he were to fight someone of a higher cultivation level than him, it wouldn't be a problem if the other party had a grade 5 spirit vibrating wings. However, if Xian Wuyu had a special physique, and with such a huge difference in cultivation level, it would be very dangerous. Am I worthy to be your master now? Xian Wuyu looked down at Yi Qinghan, as if he was looking down on all living beings. He was extremely arrogant. Yi Qinghan sneered. So what if Xian Wuyu had a special physique? Emperor Xin Yi and Azura Qian Yi both had special physiques or bloodlines. Didn't they have to rely on hundreds of revered martial artists to force him to his death? Moreover, he had an acquired devil spirit treasured physique. You think too highly of yourself. Yi Qinghan's fingertips trembled as he glanced at Tang Sheng and the others. He realized that they were waiting for him to suffer. If we fight, we have to fight at the same time. No one will be able to take advantage of us. My son, you and your spiritual pet deal with Tang Sheng. My spiritual pet will deal with Dongfang Yu. Parrot, you and Wild Tiger will deal with Situ Feng. Even if you can't kill him, you have to keep him busy, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Emperor Yi looked dignified as he held the guqin in his arms. He looked like an ordinary little girl. Life Palace realm powerhouses would not care at all, let alone Xian Wuyu. Since you don't want to, I'll give you back 10 times the damage you've done to me. Xian Wuyu was filled with murderous intent. Just as he was about to draw his sword, Yi Qinghan pointed his finger and forced the god-slaying eagle to come out. He dashed into the distance and said coldly, Xian Wuyu, if you want revenge, come after me. Yi Qinghan knew that without the support of the god-slaying eagle, it would be difficult for him to fight Xian Wuyu. However, for Emperor Ye's safety, he had to stall for time. Swish, Yi Qinghan used the stellar transposition. With a twist of his toes, he flew up to the top of a tree. He stepped on the leaves and flew at an extremely fast speed. Xian Wuyu sneered. He didn't even look at the spirit pet that Yi Qinghan had forced out. He directly rushed into the void. The two figures were as fast as lightning and quickly disappeared from Tang Sheng and the other sight. Let's kill Mad Tiger and the little girl first. Tang Sheng sneered and was about to pounce on Emperor Yi. Screech! Yi Qinghan's god-slaying eagle was greedily absorbing Yi Qinghan's qi and blood. It was cultivating excitedly when it was interrupted. As soon as it appeared, it saw Tang Sheng and was furious. Its wings covered the sky and shook the forest. Its sharp claws tore a big tree in front of it into pieces. Tang Sheng bumped into the god-slaying eagle as soon as he took a step forward. He had goosebumps all over his body as he retreated. The god-slaying eagle. How did it become Yi Qinghan's god-slaying eagle? Tang Sheng shouted in horror. Screech! Another eagle's screech shook the mountains and rivers. A second god-slaying eagle appeared. Then Mad Tiger pounced on Situ Feng. The parrot flashed and hid far away. Emperor Yi retreated with the guqin. He put it away and summoned the divine guqin. He sat cross-legged on the ground and kept plucking the 9 strings. The sound of the guqin was loud and reverberated in the world. A strange aura descended. The entire space seemed to have returned to the ancient battlefield. Countless experts were fighting. Even the supremes fell. Blood rained down from the sky, suppressing everyone's qi and blood. The world was filled with mournful roars that turned into killing intent. A ray of cold light could take one's life. What song is this? Tang Sheng felt that his qi and blood were blocked. The pressure increased sharply. He was already at a disadvantage when facing the god-slaying eagle. At this moment he was in an even more sorry state. I don't know. Dao. My qi and blood. Kill Emperor Yi first. Stop her from playing the guqin. Dongfang Yu was forced back by the god-slaying eagle. Her face was pale, and she found it difficult to breathe. This song, Burial Emperor Chant, was composed during the battle between the ancient Guqin Di Tian and the 10 great demon emperors of the Forbidden Land. Once this song was played, the great emperors fell. Their blood dyed the galaxy and the sky cracked. Although I only know half of it, and can only use 1/10,000th of its power, it is more than enough to intimidate your qi and blood. Emperor Ye's eyes shot out shadows of the divine guqin, which turned into sharp divine weapons that broke through the void. A ray of heavenly music broke through Tang Sheng's sea of consciousness. No matter how strong the soul defense was, it couldn't block a ray of her music. Her 10 fingers stained the divine guqin with blood. The tearing pain made her tender face twitch slightly. However, she didn't want to let go of the divine guqin. She only wanted to share some of the pressure for Yi Qinghan. The god-slaying eagle roared. Its sharp claws were invincible. The Burial Emperor chant didn't affect their qi and blood. Instead, it became even more violent. It was as if their blood was boiling, and wanted to burn the sky. The mad tiger roared. With a leap of 1,000 meters, the lone mountain collapsed. The giant ancient trees were uprooted and smashed towards Situfeng. Its mouth was full of fangs. As long as it bit Situfeng, it could definitely penetrate his defense. The parrot was hiding behind a lone mountain. It was sneakily waiting for Situfeng's arrival. Situfeng was forced back. His qi and blood were already suppressed. Coupled with the mad tiger's ferocity, he didn't dare to fight back. He gradually approached the parrot. His back was wide open. The parrot grinned. Emperor Yi sensed the situation on the parrot's side. He pursed his lips and endured the intense pain. He focused all of his energy on Situfeng. He plucked the strings of the guqin fiercely, almost breaking them. He hummed, "Burial Emperor." The sound of the guqin contained an unparalleled pressure and will. It turned into an illusory blade that broke through the void and rushed towards Situfeng. One boom! Situfeng's body suddenly froze. It was as if thunder had exploded in his mind. The terrifying scene of an ancient battlefield appeared. A will appeared in the sky, bringing with it an unparalleled divine might. It almost shattered Situfeng's soul and will. Ah! Situfeng screamed. It was as if he had suffered the most terrifying attack. That gaze was like the descent of a great emperor. It was enough to crush down Master Divine Marshal. Ho! The mad tiger vented all of its anger. It leaped hundreds of meters into the air, its fangs tearing through the sky. Its forelimbs smashed towards Situfeng. Situfeng's consciousness was in chaos. His eyes were filled with despair. He desperately tried to dodge. Finally, he managed to dodge the fangs. However, he couldn't dodge the attack of the mad tiger's forelimbs. Pung! Pooh! The mad tiger's mountain-like forelimbs smashed into Situfeng's chest. Situfeng's organs were torn apart. He spat out a mouthful of essence blood, dyeing the sky red. His body was smashed into the shape of a bow as he crashed towards where the parrot was. The parrot saw that its chance had come. Its figure flashed and turned into lightning. It rushed out from the top of the mountain and shouted, "Watch me!" While a massive flame spewed out, shooting into the heavens. It touched Situfeng's life palace blood vitality and directly ignited him. Ah! Fuck ah! Situfeng's originally scattered divine sense was burned to the point of madness. He no longer controlled his true essence to fly. Instead, he desperately slapped away the flames on his body and fell into the depths of the mountain. "I will spit. I will burn you to death, you old bastard." Hua the parrot chased after Situfeng. The spiritual strength in its body was rapidly dissipating. It was panting for breath, but it still didn't want to let Situfeng go. Situfeng's aura had been ignited. He had also been struck in the chest by the mad tiger. Even if he landed safely, he wouldn't be able to live for long. The parrot was also unforgiving. Situfeng's life force rapidly dissipated, and his miserable cries filled the air. Ho! How could the mad tiger allow others to steal his credit? Moreover, it was a lowly servant parrot. He turned and soared into the skies once more, smashing his forelimbs towards Situfeng. Even the parrot was attacked. Aya! Fuck you, rabbit fur tiger. I will never forgive you. The parrot rose up vertically, its butt shrinking as it soared into the skies. Bang! The mad tiger's forelimbs, which were thicker than a bucket, smashed into Situfeng's chest once more. Situfeng's eyes rolled back in his head, and blood flowed out of his orifices. He fell from the skies, smashing into a mountain rock. Emperor Yi held his zither. His entire body was stained with blood. His white robes had turned red. As he played the zither, he buried the emperor's life palace with a single song. The vicissitudes of the ages gathered together, suppressing the heavens and making all living things submit. It was as if the zither emperor had reappeared. Chapter 114. The ancient desolate mountain range, and the forest flew backward. The two figures were as fast as lightning, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Behind them, Xian Wuyu had a look of disdain on his face as he walked leisurely. Yi Qinghan, even if you run to the ends of the earth, you can't escape from me. Either you become my slave, or you die. His voice turned into a thunderclap that exploded in the sky. A terrifying evil aura enveloped the mountain range. The evil spirit sword was drawn. and its aura was earth-shattering. Yi Qinghan remained calm. He held the 7-foot berserk in his right hand, and the saber core in his left. The azure dragon arm shone with a divine light that circulated around his body. His vigorous chi and blood were almost burning. He pushed the ethereal fairy steps to the extreme, but he didn't use the extreme dragon steps. This was his trump card. If he wanted to defeat Xian Wuyu, he had to use this move. Whoosh! The two of them, one chasing the other, sped for an hour, traversing 300 to 400 li before entering a desolate mountain. Yi Qinghan suddenly stopped, turned around with his saber in hand, and stared at Xian Wuyu, who was galloping towards him. "Why aren't you running anymore?" Xian Wuyu stood on an ancient tree with disdain. He tapped the leaves with his toes, and flapped his wings lightly as he asked arrogantly, "To deal with you, I don't need to run. Xian Wuyu, today I will show you what true strength is." Yi Qinghan said hoarsely, "This is what I wanted to say to you as well. I will show you what a true evil spirit inheritance is, what a true evil spirit treasure body is." Xian Wuyu hugged his sword, looking indescribably confident. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and stared at Xian Wuyu. The biggest difference now was that Xian Wuyu had the rank 5 vibrating spirit wings and could fly. Without them, Xian Wuyu was only at the first step of the heavenly passage realm. He couldn't fly for long. He just needed to drag it out for a while. Break his wings. Yi Qinghan immediately made up his mind. Holding the saber with both hands, he inserted the core of the saber into the berserker. A domineering and arrogant aura immediately rushed to the clouds. His aura was raised to the extreme. It was as if he had become a different person. He was cold, arrogant, frivolous, and looked down on all living things. Xian Wuyu's pupil shrank, and his indifferent expression suddenly revealed a hint of evil charm. He said in a hoarse voice, "Interesting. It seems that I still underestimated you. This is the fun part. A one-sided slaughter will not give me the pleasure of revenge." The cold wind was cold and gloomy. Both sides' fighting spirits were rising. The auras of unrivaled kings filled the withered valley. They collided in the air, sending sand and rocks flying everywhere. The atmosphere was majestic and majestic. As the wings flapped, the gale became even stronger. The flying sand was not close, and the quicksand within a radius of 5 meters pierced through the void, making the lonely mountain rustle. Yi Qinghan was still accumulating his power. The azure dragon arm was drawn but not released. The berserker emitted a domineering aura. The 5th-grade combat weapon was connected to all the laws in the sky. Above, lightning flashed and thunderclouds rolled, as if to destroy the earth. The berserker had yet to pass the tribulation, and Yi Qinghan was not confident. Therefore, he had to remove the saber core after using it. This time it would be hard to dodge. After all, killing Xian Wuyu was not something that could be done in a short time. Crack! Yi Qinghan's feet crushed the mountain rocks. His eyes were like torches as he stared at Xian Wuyu. Then he soared into the sky. The berserker's domineering aura shattered the shackles. Berserker god-slaying style. Swoosh! 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 Countless beams of cold light converged. It was as if hundreds of saber attacks had erupted in an instant, blasting toward Xian Wuyu from all directions. The sharp saber aura shattered the flying sand and split the lonely mountain. The ancient tree under Xian Wuyu's feet was turned into dust. Humph! A trapped beast putting up a desperate fight. You don't know the meaning of death. Xian Wuyu snorted coldly. His wings shook the sky, and the moon moved. The evil spirit was unsheathed. The sword light destroyed everything in its path, and it struck toward Yi Qinghan's body like lightning. Boom! An ear-piercing sound was deafening, and it made people's hair stand on end. The saber and sword collided. Both were above the 5th grade, and the power was unleashed by a special physique. The aftershock rushed into the galaxy, and the dust on the ground was blown away in all directions, covering the sky and the sun. Extreme Dragon God Steps. After Yi Qinghan and Xian Wuyu clashed, they suddenly erupted. They used the Extreme Dragon God Steps to temporarily stay in the air. Then, they tore through the mountains and rivers, and turned into a dragon flying in the sky. Instead of retreating, they advanced. With a saber attack, they split the space-time apart and shouted, "Extreme space-piercing style." Xian Wuyu's evil spirit sword art was incomparably sharp, and its speed was extremely fast. In an instant, thousands of swords were unleashed. The sword aura and the saber aura collided. The space-time seemed to be as fragile as rotten wood. It could not withstand a single blow, and it crumbled continuously. The black space-time vortex spewed out a spatial storm, tearing toward the two. Evil spirit sword art. 10,000 spirits rise and fall. Boom, boom, boom. The sword was like a rainbow, and it was as fast as lightning. It directly struck Yi Qinghan's body. The surrounding sword aura broke through the saber aura, and it was unstoppable. Yi Qinghan's eyes exploded with the will to split the sky. He stared at the vibrating spirit wings on Xian Wuyu's back, and he had no intention of retreating. He raised his saber and charged forward. It looked like he was going to fight the evil spirit sword head-on, but his real target was the vibrating spirit wings. Flipping saber style. Break for me. The 7-foot saber had a slight advantage. It changed its style, and there was no feeling of stagnation. It was impossible to dodge. Before Xian Wuyu could attack Yi Qinghan's body, he felt as if his wings had suffered an unbearable impact. His body suddenly tilted, and the evil spirit sword that was aimed at Yi Qinghan's chi slid down and pierced into Yi Qinghan's right leg. Puchi! The evil spirit sword was invincible, and it instantly broke through Yi Qinghan's defense. It was a battle where both sides suffered, and neither was willing to back down. At this moment, they were fighting with their lives on the line. Whoever lost would die. Yi Qinghan's face was ferocious. He felt the evil spirit sword's power rushing towards him, attacking his limbs and bones. His vitality was suppressed, and the savagery in his eyes became even more ferocious. Downward strike. Yi Qinghan's hands trembled slightly, and he used the inch strike technique. Within less than an inch of distance, he exploded with his strongest power and forcibly cut the vibrating spirit wings. Yi Qinghan's right leg was covered in blood. The evil spirit sword directly pierced through his thigh bone. Xian Wuyu lost control of his body and suffered the most terrifying impact. He could no longer control his wings, and they fell from the sky. The evil spirit sword that had pierced Yi Qinghan's thigh was also brought out. Puff. Yi Qinghan's essence blood spurted out like a blood sword. The piercing pain in his soul almost suffocated him. He could no longer maintain the extreme divine dragon steps, and he fell to the lonely mountain with Xian Wuyu. Two silhouettes fell from the sky, but they were not startled. They rolled almost at the same time, trying to reduce the impact force. Their swords and sabers pierced downwards, crashing into the mountain rocks. The lone mountain crumbled, the sand and stones sped away, crashing into the distant mountain. Yi Qinghan knelt on one knee, and the power of the azure dragon arm erupted, instantly suppressing the evil spirit sword in his body and sealing the sword wound on his right leg. Blood stopped gushing out, and his face was as pale as paper. Xian Wuyu was not in a good state either. He fell from such a high place, rolled for more than 10 meters, and crashed into one ancient tree after another. His clothes were ragged, and he was in a sorry state. A ferocious light shot out from his eyes, and the evil spirit sword in his hand shot out an even more sinister sword light. Humph! Without the 5th grade vibrating spirit wings, I can still kill you. Xian Wuyu gave up on the vibrating spirit wings and said coldly, "Is that so?" Without the vibrating spirit wings, I want to see how you can kill me. Yi Qinghan was incomparably cold. He slowly stood up, and the pain from his right leg made his mouth twitch. The azure dragon arm erupted, shattering his clothes. His flawless body made the heavens and earth lose their color. Xian Wuyu gripped the evil spirit sword tightly, and the demonic qi on his body grew stronger and stronger. It enveloped the valley and covered the sky, pressing down on Yi Qinghan. The demonic spirit treasure body caused his aura to reach the peak. Demonic light flowed around his body, making him look like a demonic god. The sinister aura suppressed everything in the world. The two of them represented the strongest of the younger generation. Either one of them could instantly kill any expert under the 2nd step of the Grotto Heaven realm. Even emperor-level experts would find it difficult to resist their explosive power. Only at this moment did Xian Wuyu realize that Yi Qinghan was not as simple as he seemed. Even though he was in a higher realm, he did not have the advantage. After stabbing Yi Qinghan once, he had lost the 5th grade vibrating spirit wings. Your cultivation technique and saber are both above the 5th grade. You are not from Al Falling Star. Xian Wuyu's lips curled up. He circulated his blood energy to repair the damage from the collision, and deliberately asked. Yi Qinghan coldly smiled. Xian Wuyu wanted to delay, but he wanted to. As long as he could recover half of his right leg's injury, it would be hard to say who would win today. When it came to risking his life, he had never feared anyone. That's right, I am not from Al Falling Star. Yi Qinghan did not hide anything. There was no one within a 100-mile radius. Even if they fought until the heavens fell and the earth cracked, no one would know. Moreover, in today's situation, only one of them could leave alive. If he did not die, then Xian Wuyu would die. Yi Qinghan's blood energy surged and roared. It flowed through his injured body, quickly recovering. His body was like a jewel flowing with light. The speed of recovery was almost the same as the demonic spirit treasure body. This made Xian Wuyu angry, and he did not want to delay any longer. I will break your Qi in 3 moves. Xian Wuyu shouted. He turned into a sharp sword, reaching the state of man and sword as one. Demonic spirit first style, demonic 8 desolation. Xiao. The tip of his foot crushed the earth, and a sword broke through the air. 100 steps flying sword. In the entire universe, only this sword was left. It was fast to the extreme. Violent attack. Azure Dragon goes to sea. Yi Qinghan gripped his saber with both hands. The saber's hilt was twisted out of shape. A tyrannical aura poured out from the saber, bringing with it a boundless true yuan that turned into an indestructible saber light, sweeping through everything. Roar with a violent roar. It turned into an azure dragon goes to sea, suppressing everything. Bang! The evil spirit sword was indestructible. The 7 feet violent attack could break through the heavens and earth. The two collided, causing the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. The aftermath flattened the valley. Terrifying cracks hundreds of meters long and thousands of feet deep appeared, swallowing everything. Yi Qinghan's azure dragon arms were split open, and his body was covered in blood. His figure flew backwards, coughing up blood incessantly. The tip of his foot left a footprint on the ground, and the friction created a monstrous flame that intertwined with his vigorous blood energy. His entire body turned into a flame. The web between Xian Wuyu's thumb and forefinger ruptured. All that was left of his right arm was a bone that extended all the way to his shoulder. His entire body was filled with blood, and his body fell into the distance like a broken kite. His eyes were filled with disbelief. This is impossible. I am. Puff. Demonic spirit treasured body. Xian Wuyu unwillingly roared. Demonic qi soared to the heavens as if he had been demonized. His right arm was instantly repaired. A drop of blood essence could regrow flesh and bone. His eyes were filled with madness as he twisted his body and charged towards Yi Qinghan once more. Evil Spirit Sword Art Second Style. Evil Spirit Sword Way suppresses all enemies. Hua, space constantly shattered. Man and sword as one. The friction created a monstrous flame that rushed towards Yi Qinghan. Chapter 115. Southwest of Flaming Cloud City. In the sky above the desolate ancient mountain range, a mighty pressure rolled out. Dark clouds covered the vast sky, and dragon-like lightning streaked across the sky, crushing the peaks of the mountain range. Occasionally, a terrifying aura would erupt with a monstrous combat strength, informing the world that an incomparable battle was taking place here. Yi Qinghan transformed into a god of war, shining with golden light. Divine light circulated on his azure dragon arm, urging the roaring of quicksand. The might of the berserk mode was comparable to that of the heaven test. The thunder calamity of a 5th grade combat weapon made it crazy. It actively released its aura, wanting to become a true 5th grade combat weapon, showing off the power of a 5th grade war weapon. Evil Sword Art Second Style. Evil Sword Art suppressing all enemies. The evil aura seemed to pour out from the abyss of hell, suppressing everything. It turned into the supreme evil, wanting to destroy the enemy in front of it. A sharp sword appeared in Yi Qinghan's pupils. He raised his blade with both hands, waiting to attack. His body did not change, but his aura was already indomitable. The long blade attracted the thunder calamity. It was fine if it did not move, but once it moved, it would shatter the heaven and earth. Berserk attack, Azure Dragon emerges. Slash. His voice was like thunder, shaking the heaven and earth. The blade carried the power of the world, suppressing Xian Wuyu. Even the dark clouds in the sky were shattered. Hua hua hua. Ing ing ing. Zhen Yuan poured out, forming an ancient azure dragon. It rolled its 100-meter-long body and suppressed the evil sword art. The supreme aura dissipated almost at the same time, perishing together. The evil aura and the azure dragon aura intertwined, suppressing each other. Yi Qinghan and Xian Wuyu fiercely clashed. In an instant, they had clashed at least 10 times. The berserk attack left more than 10 gaps, causing sparks to fly everywhere. However, Xian Wuyu was suppressed and kept retreating. Every blade carried more than 1,000,000 pounds of power. Both of their bodies were extremely strong. At this moment, blood and flesh were splattered everywhere. No matter how strong one's special physique was, it would be difficult to resist such an attack. Yi Qinghan's face was ferocious and incomparably brutal. His tyrannical heavy craziness did not back down, pressuring Xian Wuyu to the point that he kept retreating. His footsteps shattered rocks, and his demon spirit treasure body collapsed. His vigorous blood essence was ignited, and he was battered and exhausted. Xian Wuyu's heart turned cold. Yi Qinghan was like a madman when he fought. The power that erupted from his body was not something that people of the same level could contend against. A thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Yi Qinghan was not at the bitter sea stage. As a demon spirit treasure body, how could Xian Wuyu be willing to be suppressed by Yi Qinghan? His aura grew stronger and stronger, his true essence surging, but he still couldn't reverse the situation. Although the evil nether sword in his hand hadn't broken, allowing him to narrowly defeat 7-foot crazed, his body had already been completely shattered. His flesh and blood were mangled, and he wasn't much worse off than Yi Qinghan. The aura of invincibility filled the air. Neither of them was willing to back down. Neither of them admitted defeat. They could only kill. They killed until the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Bloody mist sprayed everywhere. The last one standing would be the victor. Whirlwind slash. Yi Qinghan's body spun, violently breaking through space, and charged towards Xian Wuyu. Break! Xian Wuyu stomped on the ground, his sword piercing the blade. Boom! The evil spirit sword's momentum was unstoppable, and it just so happened to collide with the heavy wild saber's gap. The heavy wild saber split into two, and the saber's blade shot into the lone mountain, shattering it. Only half of the saber's hilt remained in Yi Qinghan's hand, showing just how tragic this attack was. The evil nether sword was almost bent, flying out of Xian Wuyu's hand. It sped past Yi Qinghan, piercing into a distant mountain peak. Yi Qinghan retreated several steps, looking at the blade in his hand. He directly placed it into his Qingquan ring. The azure dragon arm was twisted, blood flowing nonstop, and a crack had appeared on his golden battle bones. Xian Wuyu flew back dozens of meters, crashing into a large tree. He knelt on the ground with one knee. His entire right arm was covered in white bones, without a trace of flesh. Ha ha ha. Yi Qinghan, you have exceeded my expectations. To be able to force me to this point, you are worthy of standing proudly among the younger generation. Xian Wuyu's left hand was surging with demonic energy, pressing on his right arm. His flesh was regenerated like a newborn baby, but it was even tougher. Yi Qinghan smiled coldly. Xian Wuyu's strength was within his understanding. The evil nether sword was definitely not a 5th-grade weapon. It could be a 6th-grade weapon, or even higher. It was reasonable for it to be able to interrupt the heavy crazed blade. However, the evil nether sword had also shot into the mountain peak. Now they were both barehanded. Close combat was the real fight to the death, as one careless move could lead to death. Cracked up the veins on the azure dragon arm bulged, as if the blood was boiling. He clenched his fist, causing the space to fluctuate. If you can block one of my punches, you win today. I don't have time to waste with you. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse, his arrogance overflowing. He had decided to use his strongest battle strength to completely suppress Xian Wuyu. He did not want to waste any more time. as he was afraid that Emperor Yi would be in danger on the other side. He did not know that the battle on the other side was almost one-sided. A god-slaying eagle and mad tiger surrounded Dongfang, while the other god-slaying eagle and parrot surrounded Tang Sheng. Old thing, Grandpa Divine Bird said that those who are more shameless than me will die, and so will you. Today, I will send you to hell to receive your punishment. Parrot hated Tang Sheng to the bone, and sneered sarcastically. Screech! The god-slaying eagle roared, and madly pounced on Tang Sheng, wanting to tear him apart. Dongfang Yu was in an even worse state. She was surrounded by the god-slaying eagle and mad tiger, and suffered several heavy blows. She was battered and exhausted. The parrot was hooting from the side, occasionally seizing the opportunity to launch a sneak attack, spitting out a mouthful of fire. Tang Sheng was furious, and his heart was filled with fear. He gradually thought of retreating, but the parrot was too despicable. Every time he let down his guard and prepared to escape, it would take the opportunity to set fire. Now his clothes were almost burned off, and even his beard was burned off. This was simply unbearable. You despicable bird! I will kill you! Tang Sheng was burning with anger. He directly gave up on fighting the god-slaying eagle, and decided to kill the parrot first. Fuck! You still dare to hoot in front of Grandpa Divine Bird. Watch my burning the heavens! The parrot took a deep breath, and its spirit chi skyrocketed. It spat out a mouthful of fire, wanting to burn the heavens, and directly blocked Tang Sheng's attack path. Screech! The god-slaying eagle caught up, and its sharp claws pierced Tang Sheng's back. With a violent fling, it threw him directly into the depths of the mountains. Two bloody swords appeared on Tang Sheng's back. His bones were bloody, and his flesh was lacerated. He screamed miserably, and heaven and earth mourned. The parrot saw a great opportunity. How could it not take advantage of a drowning dog? Watch your Grandpa Divine Bird's supreme divine fire technique. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! The parrot chased after Tang Sheng, almost setting Tang Sheng's body on fire. Tang Sheng screamed miserably. The bone-eroding pain made him mad with hatred for the parrot. He had never hated anyone so much. Even if it was the god-slaying eagle, he only wanted to kill it, and not hate it. But for the parrot, it was complete hatred. Fuck your ancestor! Tang Sheng cursed angrily. He kept twisting his body, trying to avoid the parrot's attack. You bastard, even want to fuck this divine bird's ancestor. They have already gone to hell. You can fuck them after you die. The parrot's face was full of disdain. Its speed increased sharply, and it rushed above Tang Sheng. It spat out another mouthful of fire, completely drowning Tang Sheng. Boom! Tang Sheng's broken body crashed into the mountain, shattering the mountain rocks. But the flames on his body were not extinguished. He flapped his body wildly, and ran wildly in the forest. Everywhere he passed, there was a sea of flames, and the withered trees were set ablaze. The god-slaying eagle chased after him relentlessly. It was about to succeed. It did not want Tang Sheng to die at the hands of the parrot. On the other side, the eastern jade clay bodhisattva was crossing the river. He could not even protect himself. He was entangled by the god-slaying eagle, and the mad tiger was pouncing and tearing at him. He did not even have a chance to escape. He could not help but feel despair. This was the first battle where the god-slaying eagle and the wild tiger pledged their loyalty to Yi Qinghan. They both wanted to succeed. The more they fought, the braver they became. They wanted to compete for the battle results. They wanted to become Yi Qinghan's first spiritual pet. At the very least, they had to be more powerful in front of Emperor Yi. After Emperor Yi used the Emperor burial hymn, he fell into a coma. He only woke up after a long time. Looking at the god-slaying eagle and the wild tiger suppressing the two life palaces, he could not help but exhale a mouthful of turbid air. He calmly repaired his injured fingers. His pale face gradually regained some color and became even purer. It was like a piece of sparkling and translucent top-grade spiritual crystal that people could not bear to part with. Emperor Yi slowly stood up, holding his guqin. He looked at the miserable Dongfang Yu. His consciousness projected the battlefield. He plucked the strings of his guqin, and the melody turned into an indestructible sound blade that broke through time and space, crashing into Dongfang Yu's sea of consciousness. Buzz! Dongfang Yu did not guard his soul at all. He was hit by Emperor Ye's attack and became dizzy. He spat out a mouthful of blood and screamed as he was sent flying. The eagle was the overlord of the sky. Its control of the killing technique had reached the peak. When it saw that Dongfang Yu's consciousness was not clear, its sharp claws pierced through the void and pierced into Dongfang Yu's body. Its sharp beak pecked at Dongfang Yu's throat. Pucci Dongfang Yu's pupil shrank. He grabbed the god-slaying eagle weakly. However, the god-slaying eagle would not give him the chance to resist. Its sharp claws tore Dongfang Yu into two. His blood dyed the sky. It was a horrifying scene. Emperor Ye's expression changed. He felt like vomiting. He quickly blocked his consciousness. Darkness filled his vision. It took him a long time to react. The god-slaying eagle did not hesitate to devour Dongfang Yu's blood. It swallowed half of his body without wasting anything. The other half fell from the sky and was swallowed by the wild tiger. Roar! Screech! The wild tiger roared excitedly. He had eaten a Half-Life Palace Elite today. His bloodline had evolved a lot. The god-slaying eagle was the same. However, they were still not satisfied. They all stared at the miserable Tang Sheng. Whoosh! Two god-slaying eagles attacked Tang Sheng from the front and back. The wild tiger attacked from the left. The parrot chased tirelessly. It had never been seen working so hard. Beating up a drowning dog was its favorite thing to do. Old fart, I'll burn all your feathers today. Let's see how you're going to make a fuss. Go to hell. Tang Sheng was in despair. It was impossible to break through the encirclement of two god-slaying eagles and a wild tiger. Since he was going to die, he might as well kill this stupid bird first. Tang Sheng did not care about the god-slaying eagle's arrival. He waved his sky-covering hand and attacked the parrot with all his strength. The parrot's hair stood on end. It retracted its butt and rushed into the distance like a missile. It even shouted, "You bitch. Do you only pick on the weak? I'll kill you." Tang Sheng was furious. He unleashed a sure-kill attack. The hand broke through the void and grabbed at the parrot. Once it grabbed it, it would be crushed in an instant. Save me. Kill this bastard. I'll help you get credit from Master. The parrot used stellar transposition and pounced on the other god-slaying eagle. It was frightened by Tang Sheng's aura. It hugged one of the god-slaying eagle's wings and swayed in the air. Screech! The god-slaying eagle's sharp claws tore apart Tang Sheng's sky-covering hand and then stabbed into Tang Sheng's body. Tang Sheng felt attacks coming from all directions. There was no way out. He gave up resisting in despair. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He was unwilling to die. Pucci! The two god-slaying eagles stabbed their claws into Tang Sheng's body at the same time. They instantly sucked his blood and qi. In the end, they did not even let his corpse go. Emperor Yi did not have time to rejoice. He quickly said, "Quick, take me to Master. He can't fly. Xian Wuyu has the 5th stage vibrating spirit wings. He's at a disadvantage." Chapter 116. Wind howled between the heavens and the earth. Heavy snow suddenly fell from the sky, dyeing this part of the world white. In the barren valley, two powerful young men were almost naked from the waist up. Their weapons were stabbed into the peak of the mountain, gently whistling in the wind, singing the sounds of a final battle. Yi Qinghan issued the final challenge. One punch to determine the winner, appearing overbearing and arrogant. Xian Wuyu laughed wildly. One punch to determine the winner. Who in the younger generation of the world dared to say that one punch could defeat him? Yi Qinghan, you are not an ordinary arrogant person. No wonder those 3 old things wanted to kill you. Xian Wuyu took a deep breath and activated his demon spirit treasured body. His entire body glowed with a golden light, and wherever his demonic qi passed, the white snow melted. He clenched his fist and laughed in a hoarse voice. One punch it is. Let's see who is injured the most. If I am injured the most, then I will spare you today. If you are injured the most, then I will let you taste the feeling of your qi shattering. Then let's see if your demon spirit treasured body can withstand my azure dragon arm. Yi Qinghan clenched his fist and mobilized all the true yuan in his body. Gathering it into his azure dragon arm, divine light flowed, like a red-hot iron. The scorching energy raised the surrounding temperature to a high level, and there was no longer any feeling of coldness. A tyrannical aura filled the air. Yi Qinghan's aura became somewhat sharp, like an ancient supreme overlord. His gaze made it impossible for others to refuse. They had to submit, or else they would die. Tyrannical Emperor's Fist. 5th grade fist technique. A secret technique created by the great ancestor of the Xianyuan dynasty, Xianyuan Feiyang. Only one punch can break mountains, rivers, sun and moon. You are at the first step of the Grotto Heaven realm, and I am at the 6th star of the Bitter Sea realm. I am not taking advantage of you. With one punch, life and death will be up to fate. Yi Qinghan took the initiative to introduce the secret technique, which was the basic respect for Xian Wuyu. It meant that he saw him as a real opponent. Good. Tyrannical Emperor's Fist. What a good fist that can break mountains, rivers, sun and moon. Let's see if you can break my evil sword Dao and break my devil spirit treasure body. Xian Wuyu's expression turned serious. He was intimidated by Yi Qinghan's domineering aura. He no longer underestimated Yi Qinghan and erupted with his strongest battle power. He transformed into a sword and became one with the sword. There was no sword in his hand, but he was the evil spirit sword. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The wind and sand surged violently, and the cold snow interweaved. The vast sky looked magnificent, and it was all because of the two people's auras. At the same time, they would take advantage of the situation to erupt and fight for the overall situation. Whoever seized the opportunity first would have the advantage. The two of them fought crazily, not giving in to each other. The aura in the valley became more and more dignified and fierce. The violent aura melted the snow under the pressure. There was not a single drop of snow between them. The sand and stones were all crushed and turned into fine powder. As the wind blew, it dissipated in the air. Coo coo coo. The boiling blood in his body roared, and his hair danced in the wind. His jade-like face became incomparably cold, without the slightest trace of emotion. Yi Qinghan's aura became domineering and domineering. His aura had reached its peak. His iron fist swung back, and he took a stance. With a kick, he shattered the valley and roared. Tyrannical Emperor shatters the mountains and rivers. Boom! The fist wind was rapid, and the sound of it breaking through the air was endless. Sparks flew in the cold air, and sand and stones flew all around the valley. Some of the mountain rocks were even sent flying. The red azure dragon arm was ravaged by the rolling Jin Yuan, which gathered in the center of the fist. Evil Sword Dao. Transforming sword style. With a low chant, Xian Wuyu transformed into a sword. With an unstoppable momentum, he pierced through the void and attacked Yi Qinghan. There was no technique to speak of. Both of them had the belief that their bodies were invincible. Whoever retreated would lose. Xian Wuyu was a horizontal palm, and Yi Qinghan was a fist. One was unstoppable, and the other was unstoppable. The 100-meter distance was crossed in a flash, and they collided in the blink of an eye. The moment Yi Qinghan made contact, he suddenly used the inch strike technique. Once again he doubled his strength, and the wind blew against Xian Wuyu's face, causing his facial muscles to distort. Boom kacha! The crisp sound of bones breaking reverberated through the clouds. Xian Wuyu let out a mournful scream. His entire right arm's flesh was shattered in a flash, turning into a bloody mist and dissipating. It dyed half the sky red. The golden precious bone was forcibly twisted and broken by the azure dragon arm. It was somewhat terrifying. Behind Xian Wuyu, the ancient trees were shattered and turned into fine powder. They were blown away by the wind, and even the mountain rocks were unable to withstand the power of the aftershock. It was clear to see the true power of this fist, and how much damage Xian Wuyu had endured. Zung zung zung. Xian Wuyu continuously retreated, and the ground beneath his feet continued to crumble. His malevolent eyes looked at Yi Qinghan, who had only retreated a single step, and with a twist of his waist, he charged back at him in an incomparably tyrannical manner. Xian Wuyu's pupils immediately shrank. He knew that he was going to lose without a doubt. He was extremely unwilling, but if he continued to fight, he might very well die. I've lost. I'll let you off for today. Go back and save your disciple. Today's enmity will be avenged in the future. Xian Wuyu borrowed the momentum to fly away, and suddenly appeared at the peak of the mountain. He pulled out the evil spirit sword and soared into the sky. His ability to fly for a short period of time made Yi Qinghan helpless. Yi Qinghan watched as Xian Wuyu sped away. Instead of being angry, he smiled. At this moment, he was like an arrow at the end of its flight. His willpower was exhausted, and his true essence was exhausted. If Xian Wuyu did not leave and took the blow, the one who would die in the end would definitely be him. Xian Wuyu left, and the crisis dissipated. His imposing manner collapsed, and his vigorous and broken body suddenly fell backwards. It was not that Xian Wuyu was not strong. Otherwise, he would not have been able to force Yi Qinghan into such a state. Yi Qinghan had relied on his willpower, a short burst of power, and a high-level secret technique. Otherwise, how could he have defeated so many small realms and defeated a high-level special physique? Who? Yi Qinghan frantically breathed in the cold air. His fingertips trembled as he took out a few mid-grade spirit crystals from his universe ring. He quickly absorbed them to repair his azure dragon arm and replenish his true essence. The dark clouds in the sky scattered, and the snow roared, quickly covering Yi Qinghan's body. His qi and blood slowly slowed down, and even his blood was almost frozen. Screech! The god-slaying eagle let out a long cry as it brought Emperor Yi over from the void. The mad tiger split open the mountain and appeared at the entrance of the valley. Seeing the valley flattened and crisscrossed ravines, Emperor Yi could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. How could such a battlefield be caused by two low-level humans? Emperor Ye's eyes shone as he scanned the valley with his divine sense. He pointed to a large patch of snow at the center of the valley and hurriedly said, "Master's aura is under the snow." The god-slaying eagle flapped its wings, sending sand and stones flying. The snow rushed in the opposite direction, and Yi Qinghan's body appeared. His vigorous body had been frozen, and a layer of sparkling and translucent ice adorned his body. Damn, he's frozen to such a state. Is it really my incomparably tyrannical and invincible master? The parrot was shocked. It did not expect Xian Wuyu to become so powerful in just half a month. Demon Heart Fruit, Evil Spirit Sword, and Evil Spirit Sword arts were all terrifying secret techniques and ancient inheritances. In the end, he had been forced back by a low-level expert. In the eyes of Emperor Yi and the others, Xian Wuyu might have been ridiculously strong, which was why he had been able to injure Yi Qinghan. But in the eyes of outsiders, Yi Qinghan was even more ridiculously terrifying. The parrot rushed towards Yi Qinghan and opened its mouth to spit out a mouthful of fire to remove the ice on Yi Qinghan's body. Emperor Yi was shocked. He suddenly pulled on the zither, and the sound of the zither roared through the heavens and earth. A wave of air directly sent the parrot flying. "You're crazy. Master's body is now cold, and you're still setting fire? The cold is attacking his heart. Do you want to kill Master?" Emperor Yi was furious. He put away the divine zither and pounced towards Yi Qinghan. His young and tender body wanted to carry Yi Qinghan, but he could not move him no matter how hard he tried. The parrot was just about to curse, but when it thought of Emperor Ye's position in Yi Qinghan's heart, it quickly closed its mouth and laughed. It shouted at Mad Tiger, "Bald Tiger, can't you see that little master can't move him? Hurry up and help." Roar! Mad Tiger was furious. He wanted nothing more than to slap this lowly bird to pieces, but the situation was urgent. In order to gain merit, he could only let it go. The wild tiger curled up beside Yi Qinghan and used its body heat to melt the ice on Yi Qinghan's body, helping him to keep warm. Even though the wild tiger was full of vitality, it was still shivering from the cold. An hour later, Yi Qinghan slowly woke up. His entire body was in pain, causing him to frown. His azure dragon arm's blood flow was stagnant, as if his meridians were blocked. His true essence could not flow freely, and he did not even have the strength to adjust his breathing. He could not help but exhale a mouthful of turbid air. "Xian Wuyu, I did not think that I would have such a great opportunity to obtain the evil spirit's inheritance. It seems that I have to be careful in the future. My son, help me up." Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. This battle had damaged his foundation, but Xian Wuyu's injuries were even worse. He should have been an arrow at the end of its flight before leaving. His right arm would not be able to recover without at least half a year. What about Tang Sheng and the others? Seeing that the god-slaying eagle was unharmed, Yi Qinghan hurriedly asked. Emperor Yi hurriedly supported Yi Qinghan's arm, helping him up. He pursed his lips and said, "They were all killed. Not a single one escaped." The god-slaying eagle proudly let out a low cry, expressing its goodwill. Mad Tiger was as gentle as a kitten, only the parrot had a disdainful expression, because not a single person had been killed by it. Yi Qinghan nodded in satisfaction. After thinking for a moment, the most important thing right now was to return to the city to recuperate. His foundation had been damaged, and if there were any lingering effects, it would be very detrimental to his future cultivation. However, it was inconvenient for him to move now. If he wanted to return to the city, he could not expose the god-slaying eagle. But with his body's current condition, he simply could not allow the god-slaying eagle to return to the Azure Dragon arm. "Help protect me. I need to heal my injured body first," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. He sat cross-legged on Mad Tiger, took out a large number of elixirs, and swallowed them all in one breath. Majestic spiritual energy flowed through his body, constantly healing the wounds in his body. Vital essence slowly gathered, and began to unblock the blocked blood vessels in the Azure Dragon arm. The pain of being dismembered caused Yi Qinghan to frown slightly. Time passed slowly. The snow was still roaring, piling up in the valley, and instantly turning white. Yi Qinghan's vital essence gathered more and more. He felt the bottleneck loosen, and could not help but be overjoyed. He broke through the shackles of the 7 stars of the Bitter Sea, and successfully advanced. Once he entered the 7 stars of the Bitter Sea, Yi Qinghan's control over his vital essence instantly increased by a level. The speed of healing became faster and faster, and the external wounds quickly disappeared. The Azure Dragon arm became more rounded and powerful, difficult to be injured by swords and sabers. Even if his external injuries were healed, it would still be difficult to repair them. He would need special spirit dawn to repair them perfectly. Yi Qinghan obviously wouldn't allow any flaws in his body. Otherwise, it would have a fatal impact on his future cultivation. He did not even know if he could take revenge, let alone prove his Tao and become an emperor. Godslayer Eagle, come back. Yi Qinghan stretched out his arm, and the Godslayer Eagle turned into a wisp of spiritual smoke. Returning to the Azure Dragon arm emperor, Yi quickly kept the other Godslayer Eagle, then looked at Yi Qinghan, waiting for the next decision. "Let's go back to the city to kill Qin Haoran. Don't tell anyone about what happened today. Unless it's absolutely necessary, don't reveal the existence of the Godslayer Eagle. So many Fate Palace realm warriors died today. The powerhouses in the Zhongzhou will definitely come out. We have to be careful," Yi Qinghan said solemnly. Emperor Yi nodded seriously. She listened to Yi Qinghan's words. Chapter 117. In Flaming Cloud City, a large number of experts were cleaning up the corpses of the beasts and rebuilding their homes. The reinforcements were also helping out. With 2 Fate Palaces in charge, order was stable. Xian Yuanyu and Lu Patian were at the auction house. Half of it had already collapsed. The purple-robed Xian Yuanyu had a serious expression on his face. He had a feeling that something big had happened. "Brother Lu, do you have a bad feeling?" Xian Yuanyu asked. "Me too. I've never felt like this before. It feels like the sky is falling down, causing my Tao heart to become unstable. I wonder if it's because of Tao friend Yi." Lu Patian took a deep breath and stared at the falling snow. There was no trace of celestial beauty at all. This person's appearance is strange. His cultivation is so low, but he can explode with such terrifying power. I really suspect that he's the reincarnation of an almighty, and has memories of his past life. Xian Yuanyu said. "Ha ha ha, no matter who he is, at least we didn't offend him. Plus, that child Outyin has some connections with him. Even if there's no benefit, there won't be any harm." Lu Patian thought for a moment, and pretended to be relaxed. Although Lu Patian said so, he didn't think so. Such a monster would cause a storm of blood wherever he went. Even the innocent would be implicated. The two looked at the busy crowd outside. Suddenly their pupils shrank. The outside world was in chaos. The experts all pulled out their swords and retreated. A huge tiger appeared outside the city. It was 7 or 8 meters tall, and had no hair on its body. It was clearly the Fate Palace tiger that the parrot lured away. A man and a woman were standing on top of it. The man was handsome and elegant, and the woman was delicate. She looked like a pure white snow lotus at the peak of a snowy mountain. She was crystal clear and flawless, and had an indescribable charm. The cold wind blew his black hair. Yi Qinghan turned into a war god, and looked down on everyone. His eyes were like torches as he searched for traces of Qin Haoran. The cold and arrogant aura suppressed the entire flaming cloud city. Tens of thousands of experts didn't dare to make a sound. However, the mortals couldn't feel the pressure. They all waved their hands and shouted. After all, they were still grateful to Yi Qinghan. If it wasn't for his sudden appearance, the entire city would have fallen into the flames of war. Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi. Everyone knew Emperor Yi's name. She was so delicate that she looked like her own daughter. They couldn't help but shout her name when they saw their arrival. Emperor Yi smiled. She was happy. She had never received such treatment and glory. Brother. Imperial sister. Yi Mengxi ran over from afar like a fairy. Lu Outyan, Jian Chenxue and Wang Shi were all smiles as they strolled leisurely in the courtyard. Xianyuan Yu and Lu Patian, the two Fate Palace experts, followed closely behind, giving Yi Qinghan a lot of face. How powerful was Yi Qinghan? Ling Chen was also shocked. From the moment Xian Wuyu appeared, he knew that it would be difficult for him to win. Both of them would suffer. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to come back, even though he couldn't fly. Xian Wuyu didn't win. Yi Qinghan jumped down with Emperor Yi. He pointed at Yi Mengxi and said to Wild Tiger, "Recognize her as your master. From now on she is your master. Protect her." Wild Tiger was as docile as a cat. Unfortunately, he was hairless and looked ugly. Yi Mengxi stuck out her tongue and muttered, "What an ugly tiger." Wild Tiger snorted and glared at the parrot. He hated the parrot to the core. However, he couldn't do anything about it. There was no chance for him to take revenge. Wild Tiger immediately recognized Yi Mengxi as his master, and formed a contract. The mark of a wild tiger appeared on Yi Mengxi's arm. She looked mighty and envied everyone. A 4th-grade Fate Palace realm beast. Even if it couldn't fly, it could still fight against Fate Palace realm beasts. With such a spiritual pet, one could go anywhere on Alfal planet. Brother Yi, if you don't mind, please come to the auction house to catch up. Maybe we can work together and become friends, Xianyuan Yu said with his fists clasped. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. All the good pills were in the auction house. If he wanted to repair his foundation, he couldn't offend Xianyuan Yu. Even if he didn't have the pills he wanted, he could ask him to help him gather the materials. Senior Xianyuan, you're welcome. Please. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and looked at Lu Patian with a smile. Thank you for speaking up for me. I'll definitely repay you in the future. Ha ha ha, Brother Yi, you're too courteous. You and Outyan are friends. I can't just stand by and watch my junior suffer. Lu Patian laughed, trying to flatter himself. The corner of Xianyuan Yu's mouth twitched. Lu Patian was indeed smart. He regretted standing in the middle to mediate the fight in the morning. He might as well have stood on Yi Qinghan's side and fought with Tang Sheng and the others. No matter who won or lost, at least he was on good terms with this monster. Unfortunately, Xianyuan Yu didn't know that Tang Sheng and the others had already died. Now on Alfal planet, other than the two Fate Palace realm beasts, there were only the Limit realm beasts from Zhongzhou left. Brother Outyan, you guys go back first. I have something to do tonight. I'll pay you a visit in a few days, Yi Qinghan said to Lu Outyan. Lu Outyan nodded solemnly. Yi Qinghan already gave him enough face by talking to him alone. The rest of the opportunity would depend on whether or not his performance could satisfy Yi Qinghan. Lu Outyan brought Yi Mengxi and the others back to the relay station. Late at night, the snow stopped. The moonlight was like water pouring down on the world. The silvery snow and ice on the branches made the area around Flaming Cloud City look like a fairyland. The auction house was almost fully restored after the efforts of hundreds of experts. At this moment, in a private room in the backyard, two Fate Palace realm beasts were personally pouring tea for Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. They didn't feel embarrassed at all. May I ask where Brother Yi is from? You're not a young expert from Alphal Planet, right? Xianyuan Yu asked curiously. I'm from Alphal Planet. I'm from a small unknown place. Even if I say it, you two wouldn't have heard of it. Yi Qinghan took a sip of spirit tea and put it aside. Even Xianyuan Yu couldn't drink this kind of stuff often. However, he drank it like it was water, completely tasteless. Emperor Yi obediently stayed beside Yi Qinghan, sipping spirit tea and holding the parrot as he waited for Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan didn't want to waste time here and took the initiative to say, Brother Xianyuan, this Yi wants to buy a pill. Do you have it here? Xianyuan Yu was surprised and quickly asked, What kind of pill does Brother Yi want to buy? Bone replenishing origin pill. Yi Qinghan said in a serious tone. The bone replenishing origin pill was a top-tier 4th-grade medicine. It could quickly repair any broken bone. Even if the root was damaged, it could be nursed back to health. Coupled with the recovery ability of a cultivator, normal injuries could be restored to peak condition in a short period of time with this pill. After hearing this, Xianyuan Yu stared at Yi Qinghan. He didn't seem to be injured at all. Every expert would prepare a portion of such a pill. However, this was a life-saving pill, and there weren't many on Alphal Planet. Even Xianyuan Yu only had one. So he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. If you don't have it, can you help me collect some materials for the bone replenishing origin pill? I'm willing to buy them at a high price, Yi Qinghan said with a frown. Xianyuan Yu's eyes narrowed. Although the grade 4 bone regeneration elixir was not as high as a grade 5 elixir, its value was above that of a grade 5 elixir. More importantly, such an elixir was extremely rare. It would be a miracle if a Life Palace Realm warrior could own one. Xianyuan Yu was shocked that Yi Qinghan knew how to refine it. If you know how to refine it, I'm willing to sell the one I have. But please help me refine some. I'm willing to provide the materials and pay a certain amount of spiritual crystals. Xianyuan Yu said happily. Sure, name your price. Yi Qinghan didn't want to waste any more time and said directly, I asked an old friend to get this bone replenishing origin pill. It's worth 4 million midgrade, and there's no market for it. I'll sell it to you at the original price, and you don't have to pay. You can refine 2 more pills in the future as compensation. I'm willing to buy the bone replenishing origin pill you refine for 2 million midgrade. Xianyuan Yu was ecstatic, as if he had seen a mountain of gold and silver. He took out a jade brocade box and carefully handed it to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan took the brocade box and opened it. There was a golden pill inside. It was the bone replenishing origin pill he needed. However, the quality didn't seem to be that good, but it was better than nothing. With this pill, he would be able to return to his peak state in 3 days. There's only 1 million midgrade left. Take it as a deposit. I still have things to do tonight. I'll come back in 3 days. Goodbye. Yi Qinghan threw down a universe ring and left with Emperor Yi. Xianyuan Yu and Lu Patian looked at each other and didn't know what to say. Don't worry. I promise you that if Daoist Yi doesn't come back in 3 days, I'll pay you back. Lu Patian looked at Yi Qinghan's leaving figure and purposely said loudly. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi straight to Lingbao Pavilion. A cold smile appeared on his face as he retracted his killing intent and appeared in front of Lingbao Pavilion in the blink of an eye. Boom! Lingbao Pavilion's gate was directly shattered by Yi Qinghan's palm. Iron powder flew everywhere. Who? Do you want to die? Coming to Lingbao Pavilion to cause trouble? Are you tired of living? More than 10 cultivators rushed out from within the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. 4 of them were at the Grotto Heaven Realm. When they saw that it was Yi Qinghan who had brought Ren Huangyi over, their expressions changed drastically. They quickly bowed and said, So it's fellow Taoist Yi. Little princess, I didn't know that you two had graced us with your presence. Please forgive us. Scram, call Qin Ning and Qin Haoran out. Yi Qinghan spread out his divine sense, covering 1,000 meters around Lingbao Pavilion. When he found that Qin Haoran hadn't left, he couldn't help but smile coldly and walked towards the back of Lingbao Pavilion. Taoist Yi, what are you doing? A Grotto Heaven Realm expert panicked. He didn't dare to block Yi Qinghan, but he also didn't dare to let Yi Qinghan barge in. Scram! I'm here to kill people. If you dare to block me again, I don't mind killing one more. Yi Qinghan released his aura, directly sending the Bitter Sea Realm experts in front flying. The Grotto Heaven Realm experts all retreated, their faces as pale as paper. Chapter 118. He released his aura and sent everyone flying. His black hair fluttered even though there was no wind, tearing through the void. The killing intent in his eyes had condensed to the point of materialization. Kill. The Grotto Heaven Realm experts were immediately alarmed. They looked at Yi Qinghan, who was as graceful as jade, and felt as if they were looking at a ghost. Who does fellow Yi want to kill? This is the Lingbao Pavilion, the Qin clan's private property. My son, what are you? Qin clan's third elder, Qin San, rushed out from the backyard and questioned with a dissatisfied expression. Third elder, please call Qin Haoran out. We are only looking for him today. Emperor Ye's expression was calm. Today was the best opportunity to sever all ties with the Qin clan. This Qin clan had already caused her to despair. Haoran? You want to kill Haoran? Qin Shi, are you crazy? He's your brother. You unfilial son. You actually want to kill your brother? Qin San angrily rebuked. Yi Qinghan coldly smiled. His eyes emitted a cold light as he said disdainfully, if you dare to say another word, I will wring your head off. You. Qin San was burning with anger. He was just about to retort when he was frightened by Yi Qinghan's cold gaze. His breathing stagnated, and he immediately shut his mouth. Remember, she is Emperor Yi, not Qin Shi. If you call her by the wrong name again, you can forget about your tongue. Also, if you dare to be disrespectful to her in the future, I will not give you the chance to speak again. Yi Qinghan's domineering aura surged and enveloped the Lingbao Pavilion, suppressing everyone. The corner of his mouth slightly rose as he sneered. He Qin clan? So what? If you anger me, I will crush you. Dong dong dong. More than 10 experts were shocked speechless by these arrogant words for a long time. Their hearts were about to explode, and their faces were as white as paper. They did not dare to look at Yi Qinghan. The broken house faced the cold wind, and let out a terrifying sound, breaking the silence of the night. Qining hurriedly rushed to the front yard, and saw Yi Qinghan's killing intent. He could not help but ask, fellow Taoist Yi, what are you doing? Hand over Qin Haoran. Today's matter has nothing to do with you. If you dare to stand out, I will be the Qin clan. Yi Qinghan impatiently. Qining. Lane. Emperor. Of. Qin Haoran, get the hell out here. Qining shouted towards the backyard. In the backyard, Qin Haoran's face was deathly pale, and his legs were trembling. He thought to himself, I went to look for Tang Sheng and the others. Yi Qinghan can't possibly know. Moreover, Tang Sheng and the others went to look for Yi Qinghan. How could they still be alive? However, he did not dare to escape. He wanted to use sophistry to escape this calamity. He slowly calmed down and walked out of the backyard. He looked at the crowd with an innocent expression, and then bowed to Yi Qinghan and said, Senior Yi, may I know why you are looking for me? To kill you, Yi Qinghan coldly said as he reached out to grab Qin Haoran's neck. Wait. Senior, you are my son's master. Even if you are my martial uncle, you can't kill me without giving me an explanation. Tell me, what did I do wrong? If I really did commit a capital crime, I won't even frown if you want to kill me. Qin Haoran staggered and fell backwards. He shouted with a face full of unwillingness. Shouldn't I kill you? Don't you know what you did this afternoon? Yi Qinghan coldly asked. I don't understand. After the beast tide retreated, I returned to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion after obtaining some demon cores. I definitely didn't do anything to offend you. If you want to kill me and fight for the Qin clan's property for my son, I am not your opponent. The entire Qin clan is not your opponent either. I won't implicate the Qin clan. Just kill me. Qin Haoran took a step forward and said in a cold voice. He closed his eyes and waited for death as if he had been wronged. Qining was shocked. The younger generation of the Qin clan was counting on Qin Haoran. How could he let Yi Qinghan kill him just like that? Mr. Yi, let's talk nicely. Is there some misunderstanding? He really was at home this afternoon. This old man is not lying. Qining hurriedly stopped Yi Qinghan and said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan sneered. He didn't expect Qin Haoren to be so smart. He even tried to play the emotional card with Yi Qinghan. Qin Haoren, you won't give up until you hit the wall. How dare you play this game with me? If I want to kill you, why would I care about my reputation? But since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Yi Qinghan's face was full of disdain. He coldly said, This afternoon, you went to find Tang Sheng and the others. What did you say to them? When Qin Haoren heard this, his heart trembled and his body went numb. His soul showed obvious fluctuations, but quickly returned to normal. However, he still couldn't avoid Yi Qinghan's divine sense. I didn't find Tang Sheng and the others. They are Fate Palace experts, and I am just a bitter sea junior. How could they meet me? Also, didn't they leave Flaming Cloud City and return to the central region? Qin Haoren pretended not to know and asked blankly. Yes, Mr. Yi, didn't Tang Sheng and the other seniors leave Flaming Cloud City this morning? Mr. Yi, you must have misunderstood. Qining smiled bitterly. He didn't dare to offend Yi Qinghan, and could only extend his hand to invite him. Mr. Yi, no matter if my son's surname is Yi or Qin, we are still connected. No matter what, we are still a family. It's not good to hurt our relationship because of a misunderstanding. Mr. Yi, please come in and have a seat. How about this? No need. My words are never wrong. Qin Haoren, since you don't want to admit it, I have a way to make you admit it. I don't want you to say that I am unreasonable and bully others. Yi Qinghan coldly laughed and said to Emperor Yi, My son, make him speak the truth. Emperor Yi took a step back. He waved his hand, and the divine zither appeared in his arms. He gently plucked the strings, and the sound of nature spread out in all directions. It was crisp and pleasant to the ears, making people lose their minds. Qin Haoren was just a piece of trash who had no great wisdom. Emperor Yi had just shown his brilliance and fell into an illusion. Qin Haoren's eyes were dull. His soul was empty as he fell into his own dream. He saw Tang Sheng and the others killing Yi Qinghan and slaughtering Emperor Yi while he stood by the side and cheered. Ha ha, good kill. Cripple Yi Qinghan and this unfilial son for me. Let me personally crush this pair of blind people. I didn't lie to you. Yi Qinghan is just a useless piece of trash who can't fly. How can he be your opponent? Shwa shwa shwa, Qin Haoren's face was malevolent. He slashed with his sword and roared. Yi Qinghan, you are blind. You didn't even nurture a genius like me and instead nurtured this blind piece of trash. What can a little girl achieve? I will chop you blind man to death. Kneel down and beg for mercy. Perhaps I will spare you. Pass on all your cultivation methods and secret techniques to me. I am the #1 genius in the world. Ha ha ha. Qin Haoren was like a madman. Everyone was dumbfounded. Qin Ying's face was ashen. He wanted to kill this bastard. That's right. I was the one who told Senior Tang Sheng that you can't fly. As long as I can hold you back for 3 moves, I can kill you. How about it? Can you do anything to me? Ha 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 ha. Slap. Qin Ying was burning with anger. He used his Zhen Yuan to fiercely slap Qin Haoren, sending him flying more than 10 meters away and crashing into a broken wall. With a face full of anger, he roared, You good-for-nothing trash. What did I tell you? I told you to treat your sister well, but all you think about is fame and fortune. You even want to kill your own sister. Are you still human? Qin Haoren's face instantly swelled. He was confused. He touched his burning face and asked unwillingly, What happened? I seem to have been controlled just now. You piece of trash. I will personally kill you today so that you don't dirty Mr. Ye's hands. Qin Ying seemed to want to protect Qin Haoren. He held the rod and started to beat him. The crackling sound broke the silence of the night. The rod pierced into the flesh without any mercy. Although it was painful, it wasn't fatal. Yi Qinghan sneered. How could the person he wanted to kill be forgiven after suffering some physical pain? If he didn't kill this piece of trash today, he would always be a bomb. Although he couldn't kill him, he would cause him endless trouble. However, if Qin Ying wanted to show off, then he would let him show off first. It wouldn't be too late to let Qin Haoren suffer a little before he died. Emperor Yi kept the divine zither, with an indifferent expression. Since the moment Qin Haoran wanted to kill him, he was completely disappointed in the Qin clan. Today he would completely end it. Slap! Slap! The rod pierced into the flesh, causing Qin Haoran's flesh to split open. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. His miserable screams echoed throughout the flaming cloud city, attracting countless experts to watch. Lu Patian and the others stood in the distance and looked at Yi Qinghan's cold expression. Their hearts turned cold, and they didn't dare to offend Yi Qinghan. So what if it was the Qin clan? They were close relatives of Emperor Yi. Now he turned around and wanted to beat them up and even kill them. How could anyone who offended him have a good ending? After beating for an hour, Qin Haoran was beaten to death. He fainted a few times and was beaten awake again. Finally, he was beaten until he fainted again. Many people couldn't help but tremble. They were shocked by Qin Ying's ruthlessness. To beat his own grandson to such a state, he could be considered ruthless. However, Yi Qinghan sneered the entire time. Qin Ying threw away the blood-soaked rod and said to Yi Qinghan sadly, "Mr. Yi, I have taught him a lesson today. I don't know if you can spare his life on account of this old man and my son's parents? No, I must kill this person. Your Qin clan's successor should be someone else. This kind of trash is indeed not suitable to be the Qin clan's patriarch." Yi Qinghan coldly replied. Qin Ying's face was filled with helplessness and unwillingness. He didn't think that Yi Qinghan would be so resolute. He had already beaten Qin Haoran to such a state, but he still wasn't willing to let him go. "If you want to stop me, I don't mind killing a few more." Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at Qin Ying and the others. He reached out and grabbed the unconscious Qin Haoran. His fingertip tapped on Qin Haoran's dantian point. True essence shattered Qin Haoran's qi and tore apart his soul, increasing his perception. A heart-wrenching pain caused Qin Haoran to open his eyes. He looked at Yi Qinghan with a sinister expression. "Ah, you will die a horrible death. Cripple my qi. You will go to hell. You pair of bitches. Adulterers. You will die a horrible death. Ah." Pung. Yi Qinghan's azure dragon arm appeared. True essence poured out and rushed into Qin Haoran's body, shattering everything. Qin Haoran's body was shattered into pieces, turning into a bloody mist that dyed the snow red. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and retreated one after another. They didn't dare to come into contact with Yi Qinghan's divine will. "My son, remember, you must not be soft-hearted in the future. When dealing with your enemies, kill," Yi Qinghan coldly instructed, setting an example. His cold voice was like a sharp knife that pierced into everyone's hearts, causing them to feel pain all over their bodies. "Let's go." A domineering and arrogant cold aura stole people's souls. He stepped forward, leaving behind a figure that no one could resist. He walked further and further away, as if he was an indomitable god of war leading an ignorant little girl to the end of the world, to the pure land of mankind. Chapter 119. Qin Ying clenched his fists, his face filled with killing intent. He was furious to the extreme. He had performed for so long and beaten Qin Haoran so miserably, but Yi Qinghan was not willing to give him any face. This was simply a humiliation to him and the Qin clan, causing them to lose face in front of countless experts. "Yi Qinghan, you will regret this. Qin Shi Huang, this old man has treated you well, but I did not expect you to be such an ungrateful wretch, turning your back on me." Qin Ying's eyes were filled with haze, as sharp as an eagle's. Even now, he had not regretted his actions. What was the reason for today's outcome? Yi Qinghan did not feel relaxed at all after killing Qin Haoran. Killing that kind of trash was just a matter of waving his hand. The true enemy was slowly approaching. If he did not break through to the Grotto Heaven realm in a short period of time, he would not have the strength to protect himself. The experts behind Xian Wuyu, Tang Sheng, and the others would all rush here. Flaming Cloud City was not a place for them to stay for long. "My son, for the next few days, you must cultivate in peace. Do not wander around, and do not trust anyone. I will go into seclusion to repair my foundation. Do you understand?" Yi Qinghan instructed in a deep voice. Master, don't worry. I will raise my cultivation as soon as possible." Emperor Yi nodded seriously. Yi Qinghan ate some spirit fruits and brought Emperor Yi back to Huofei's courtyard. However, the rooms here had already been razed to the ground. He could only open up a simple cave on the opposite mountain and buy a bed and quilt for Emperor Yi. Then, he swallowed the bone-replenishing foundation elixir and entered the state of self-repairing his foundation. Once the elixir entered his body, it turned into specks of essence that circled around his limbs and bones, causing Yi Qinghan to become sparkling and translucent. His damaged bone marrow was wrapped in a large amount of spiritual energy, causing his foundation to rise again, causing Yi Qinghan to become as ethereal as an immortal. A vast amount of Zhen Yuan flowed through his entire body. All the major acupoints in his body had been opened, and the Zhen Yuan flowed unimpeded, tempering his flesh and blood. A large number of spirit crystals were arranged in an orderly manner in the surroundings, forming a super spirit gathering array. Spirit chi swarmed in from all directions, filling the entire mountain with spirit chi. It was almost condensed to the point of materialization, drilling straight into Yi Qinghan's body. His sparkling and translucent skin adhered to the liquid spirit chi, healing his hidden injuries. At this moment, Yi Qinghan had reached the psychic state. His divine sense had broken through the shackles and reached the clouds. It was as if he was about to enter the universe and roam freely. The vastness of the universe and the magnificence of the galaxy fascinated him. One flower, one world. Everything in the world had a Tao. The more one looked at it, the deeper one's understanding of the Tao. His divine senses were in the air, overlooking all life on the ground. All of Fire Cloud City was reflected in his eyes as he saw experts rebuilding the city. He saw all kinds of people. Some supported each other, some fought for wealth, and he gained a deeper understanding of human nature. Traveling 10,000 miles was better than reading 10,000 books. Traveling the world, seeing the mountains, the sun, and the moon, seeing all kinds of people, and seeing all kinds of great Taos could elevate one's soul. One's understanding of the great Tao's laws would be better than cultivating for 10 or 100 years. Yi Qinghan was expressionless as he looked at the mountain valley outside Flaming Cloud City. Corpses were piled up like mountains. These were the martyrs who had sacrificed themselves for Flaming Cloud City. They were waiting to be buried in peace. Yi Qinghan was unperturbed. Death was not the final destination. Perhaps it was just the beginning. His dim blood and chi began to recover, slowly boiling and roaring. The dark purple blood turned red, and finally became golden, like precious blood. Finally, it roared in his blood vessels, evolving his bloodline, and tempering his golden body Tao body. His vital essence became increasingly pure, penetrating the sea of bitterness from his sea of chi, stirring the universe of the sea of bitterness. The waves hit thousands of miles, shattering the shackles and bottlenecks. He was only half a step away from breaking through the 7 stars of the bitter sea and entering the 8 stars. Yi Qinghan gradually withdrew his divine senses and gathered them in his body, suppressing the roaring of his true vitality. He did not intend to break through for the time being. First, he had to repair his damaged foundation and origin. It would not be too late to break through then. Taking a deep breath, Yi Qinghan entered a state of recuperation. His aura was restrained. Other than the surging spiritual chi, no one could discover that Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were in the valley. On the vast continent of Zhongzhou, snow was falling. Countless ancient families stood. Although they had fallen, they still had some foundation. In the state capital of Qing, Tang family's mansion occupied an area of dozens of miles. There were at least 10,000 direct descendants, and more than 100,000 collateral relatives. It was one of the most powerful forces on Alpha Star. Not only was there Tang Sheng, a Fate Palace powerhouse, but there was also a Fate Palace powerhouse who was nearing the end of his life. Tang Quan was almost 500 years old, and was only half a step away from becoming a Tao master. Unfortunately, he lacked chi and blood, and could never become a Tao master. He had been cultivating in the ancestral land of the Tang family, waiting for death to come. Unless the Tang family was facing a catastrophe, he would not come out. On Alpha Star, there were many powerhouses who were nearing the end of their life like Tang Quan. There were at least 5 or 6 of them, who were cultivating in seclusion. However, today at least 5 of them opened their eyes at the same time. Looking at the broken life cards in front of them, they clenched their fists, and their killing intent soared to the sky and shattered the mountains. Every Fate Palace powerhouse would leave a life card in their family. Once they died, the life card would be broken, so that the family could be prepared. Sheng is dead. Tang Quan was furious. Tang Sheng was only 400 years old, and was 100 years away from the end of his life. He could support the family for 100 years, but he died today. Boom! On Alfal Star's Zhongzhou continent, at least 4 powerhouses were awakened at the same time. It was as if ancient beasts had come into being. The powerful pressure resonated with each other, and connected the heavens and the earth, alarming countless powerhouses. With such a foundation, even if the beast tide attacked the center of the continent, they would be able to fight back. However, they did not care about the life and death of living creatures. They only cared about whether they could make a breakthrough and extend their life. Today, they were awakened by Tang Quan and the others and had to come out. Tang Quan, Dongfang Haoyue, Situ Wanli, and Yi Kongqing looked at each other and nodded slightly. They were all powerhouses of the same era, and were very familiar with each other. Something happened to Sheng of the Tang family. His life card is broken. Tang Quan was extremely old. His skin was like withered tree bark, wrinkled and unbearable. His voice was hoarse, and emitted a decaying aura. My Sitafeng is dead too. How can a Fate Palace powerhouse die at the same time? Situwanli roared. His white hair flew back and tore the void. His terrifying spiritual ether shattered the space, and suppressed the heavens and the earth. Dongfang Haoyue was dressed in green, and had the demeanor of a transcendent being. At the moment his face was ferocious. Dongfang Yu was only 300 years old, and had entered the Fate Palace realm. He was a rare genius. Who would have thought that he would die so tragically today without even having the time to send out a distress signal? They are blocking the beast tide in Huoyan City, but it can't be the beasts that killed them. The 3 Fate Palace powerhouses can protect themselves against the beast tide. There must be a powerhouse involved. Let's go and take a look. Dongfang Haoyue said coldly. The 4 experts joined hands and pounced towards the distance, covering the stars and moon, as they swept up the vast and mighty dome of heaven. Their imposing manner was peerless. This was the strongest formation in the history of Alfal Star, and it scared the 8 powers to the point that they didn't dare utter a word. Yi Qinghan was still frantically cultivating his foundation. He was comprehending the sea of bitterness, the 6 paths 10,000 laws, the origin, and the profound meaning of law. Water was life. The source of all life came from water. The profound meaning of water was broad and profound. Few could comprehend the profound meaning of water to the great success stage. Once the profound meaning of water reached the great success stage, it was equivalent to attaining an immortal body. A drop of blood could turn into a golden body. As long as the enemy couldn't kill all life in an instant, the injured body could be healed in an instant. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes and comprehended the profound meaning of water. His soul was immersed in the origin of water in the chaos. The great Tao was difficult to understand. If one could understand the Tao in the morning, one could die in the evening. Water was an extremely soft substance. The tiny person in the sea of consciousness stroked the origin of water in the chaos. With the help of the ancient yin-yang technique, he cultivated the secret technique of Tai Chi. The 8 trigrams evolved into a formation that hung in the 9 heavens. The secret technique of Tai Chi was a secret technique in the Divine Martial Imperial Code. It seemed simple, but few could comprehend its profundity. In his previous life, Yi Qinghan had only cultivated it to the minor success stage. It took him decades of effort. Now that he was standing on the shoulders of his previous life, he had a deeper understanding of the secret technique of Tai Chi. The origin of water became denser and denser. Guided by the power of Tai Chi, it turned into a flood dragon that swam in the chaos. The tiny person in the sea of consciousness moved faster and faster. He took the initiative to control the profound meaning of water. He pierced through the sea of bitterness and pounced on Yi Qinghan's body, nourishing it. Any injuries could be healed quickly, making the surface of his body even more crystalline. Divine light filled the air, and he turned into a god of the 9 heavens. Yi Qinghan's body glowed with golden light. His fingertips trembled occasionally, as if he wanted to cultivate with the little person. Sweat dripped from his forehead, trailing down his temples and shoulders. His enchanting appearance was irresistible. Emperor Yi was currently immersed in the Tao of Guqin. He was comprehending the inheritance of the ancient divine Guqin. Every time his soul became stronger, he would gain more memories. At this moment, he knew that this divine Guqin was called the Dragon Bone Guqin. It was a Guqin created from the bones and tendons of the ancient divine Guqin emperor, after he killed the demonic dragon. Although it was sealed and required the inheritor to reach a certain level to recover his peak combat power, its power was not something that ordinary people could resist. Buried Emperor's Chant, a famous song from the desolate era. Gently stroking the strings, it sang of the world's joys and sorrows, touching the vicissitudes of life. Emperor Yi could feel how much effort the Guqin emperor had put in for the sake of the people of the endless universe. He had fought with the beasts of 10,000 races and the spirits of the forbidden grounds many times. Every time, blood would stain the sky and burn the emperor's blood. Emperor Ye's face was red and his blood was boiling. He wanted to soar into the sky and fight for the people. He wanted to fight for his master. He wanted to break all injustice and fight for a place for the human race. Buzz! The vicissitudes of life of the Guqin cut through the ancient times and collapsed the endless river of history. It swirled in the cave and turned into a divine medicine. Yi Qinghan's body trembled. His blood was boiling, and his body was covered in sweat. Divine light shone in all directions and illuminated the cave. Boom, boom, boom. His blood was boiling. He could no longer suppress his true yuan. It directly broke through the bottleneck and rushed into the 8 stars of the bitter sea. His combat power instantly increased by several times. Yi Qinghan's eyes widened, and with a slight movement of his fingertips, a lifelike mist dragon appeared out of thin air. It rushed out of the cave, and wherever it passed, withered trees would rise again. Boundless vitality filled half of the valley with greenery. It looked extremely mysterious. The increase in his cultivation did not make him happy at all. His heart was in a frenzy, and his Tao heart almost collapsed. A sense of crisis enveloped his body and made his hair stand on end. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.